Hello and welcome to Trinity University's third home game here in San Antonio as the Tigers started off the series with 2 wins over Endicott and looking to make it a sweep here. Tigers will have Sam Conti on the mound. You can see him warming up on your screen now. And wait, starting lineup information. The early start here, still trying to get underway. For the Tigers, I can tell you what the lineup will be. It'll be Herrera at short leading off, Shamet over in right field, Mason Meredith in center batting third, Michael Goodrich is the DH batting fourth. And batting fifth will be Jack Vonderhaar sixth, Tyler Pettit behind the plate, Jack Wisniewski will be back over at third base, and Evan McDonald gets a start in left field. And Montreza will start over at second base. And Tigers. And the goals are underway, joined by Saul Malik, and we'll have Sam McWhorter join us momentarily. First batter for Endicott is going to be Matt Bald. And Bald with the first pitch into right field. And there will be one out as it is taken by Rafe Shamet. So we are underway here from San Antonio.
Yeah, it should be a good contest today. Tigers 6-0 already on the season, winning the first 2 games of this 3-game set. So Tigers putting up big numbers in each of the first 2, 12 and 9 runs respectively. And showing bunt there is the 2-hole hitter.
Yeah, it's going to be Justin Yardwell. And Wardwell, a couple of at-bats yesterday. Getting some early action here in game number 3. Falling behind early on.
And a 4-pitch walk there from Conti. None of those particularly close, not hitting his spots and losing the lefty to put the first runner on base here for the Gulls.
I'll bring up Kyle Brennan as we have the starting lineup information for you. Bald, Wardwell, Brennan, Prosser, Perkins, Duffy, McKinley, Millar, and Barbary for the goals. And this is Brennan, who went opposite field with a home run yesterday and laces this one out into right field for the game's first hit. There's going to be 2 on here early for Endicott with just 1 down.
Good piece of hitting there from the lefty. You know, seeing it from the left side of the plate, always a more difficult task against a left-handed pitcher, but Brennan locked in on that one. Puts 2 on base early on here, and Tigers got off to a slow start in that first game, allowing 3 runs there in that 3rd inning in the first game, but they answered back in the bottom half with 5, so the only time they've trailed in the series. I'll bring up Prosser, the cleanup hitter.
Get a look at Conte coming into today. New England native. Struggled in his appearance last week. And not off to a solid start here yet either. So we'll see how things can change here as Prosser trying to bring home some early runs for Endicott. They have not been able to lead in the series just yet.
Missing again, low and away, and Conti just keeps missing low and away falling behind again, 3-0. And the problem here, Josh, is you do have to come in with the strike here, but if I'm the hitter here, I might get the green light, knowing that he has to come across the plate here.
Would have been a good pitch for it. But they decide to test Conti and make him throw a strike. He finally does. It's 3-1.
Yeah, that 3-0 green light, not something you'll see every time. Make the pitcher come into the strike zone, especially when he's struggling with his command early on. And that one misses just low. I feel like the way that was caught made it look more out than it really was, but it still did miss just a bit low. Now the bases are going to be loaded and prompting an early mound visit already.
Yeah, we saw an early mound visit yesterday. James Natoli looked a little out of sync early on, and he was able to settle down through 7 fabulous innings and then give up the home run in the 8th.
Yeah, really good performance there from Natoli. 7 strikeouts, just 1 walk, getting his second win of the early season. And that good pitching from the Tigers. It's been a theme over the past few years. Natoli leading the team in the category of ERA so far on the season. Of course, with the season being so young, the statistics aren't as meaningful as they will be as we get further on.
Looks like Conte is maybe satisfied with some of the words of encouragement. We'll see if he's able to dial in. It's going to be Perkins now.
And that was barely missing again.
That one's going to get away, but Pettit races after it. Just quick enough to keep the runner at bay over at third.
Perkins already ahead in the count 2-0 here with the bases loaded. Got to be feeling really comfortable up there in the dish.
That's going to be a foul ball. Came up in on Perkins, and he tried to duck out of the way, but left the bat out there.
Yeah, that pitch missed its target by a few feet there, but getting the strike off the bat. So Conti gets bailed out on that one. Count running now to 2-1.
Endicott looking to take the early lead. One more pitch out of the zone will do that for them.
Yeah, Conti not willing to come in on any of these hitters just yet. Still dancing around the strike zone. And he misses away. And will walk in the run, or the game's first run. Endicott on the board here, 1-0. And it appears that that mound visit did nothing to calm the nerves of Sam Conti.
You can see down there in the far left of the screen, the Tiger bullpen already seeing a little bit of movement. Conte, who is one of the better pitchers in the fall, but come springtime, just not the same stuff. And Tigers are going to already have a pitching change, and that will be all we see from Conte.
It looks like Caden McGann already coming into the game. The first-year right-hander. Impressed in his first appearance as a Trinity Tiger.
Yeah, you see 7 Ks and 2 walks, picking up a win. Nice thing there. You see The whip, just 1.06. Going to need that type of action here to keep Endicott from extending the lead more than they already have.
Yeah, it'll take a Herculean effort here to get out of this, allowing just the one run. The base is still loaded.
So won't have a final stat line on Conte until the bases are clear. But not an early start that Tiger fans wanted to see, and if you're Endicott, maybe looking at this as maybe a repeat of last year. Endicott losing the first 2 games of the year here in San Antonio, and then they took the Sunday game before flying back up home to Massachusetts.
Yeah, the Tigers' 6-0 perfect record. Wouldn't say already in jeopardy, being that it's only the first inning, but certainly not the start that they envisioned for this early game. There is one out, though.
Yeah, one out. When we return, still going to have Brennan over at third. Prosser is at second, and Perkins at first.
Endicott still with just one hit so far in the inning. It's been all about the walks so far in this one, with Conti missing the zone and walking 3 of the 5 batters he faced.
Duffy steps in, batting .222. First pitch swinging. And through the hole on the left side.
And that'll score a pair. And Endicott putting 2 more on the board, 3-0. And surprising decision there that Duffy swinging on first pitch. And McGann is greeted with a 2-run single to start his pitching appearance. Those runs will go against Conti. So already a big lead for Endicott here in the first inning, and they're still looking to build on it.
Yeah, Matthew McKinley, a couple of hits yesterday. Batting .667 on the year. First pitch is high.
McKinley awaiting the 1-0 pitch. And that one missing in the dirt. The Tiger pitchers today just maybe stayed out a little too late celebrating their win last night. It seems like not a whole lot of fluidity here.
Yeah, the early start time doesn't look like Trinity's woken up just quite yet. And Endicott coming out swinging early on, already with 2 hits in the inning.
Ooh, just missing high there. Count running to 3-1 here against McGann, and he's going to have to be careful. You do not want to load the bases back up here. You also don't want to throw something right down the middle that can be hit a ton. And that one will miss up and in. That is another walk from the Tiger pitchers in the inning, the 4th walk of the frame already, and there is only 1 out.
It's a tough spot for McGann to come into because you start off not expecting to have to pitch this early into the contest. And figure your starter will get you a few innings, you settle into it, but Endicott taking advantage of the situation here for Trinity. And Joseph Millar will hit this one back up the middle, and maybe a lucky bounce for the Tigers, and it is off of the mound, fielded nicely by Herrera, and the Tigers will get out of it.
Wow, that is a pitcher's best friend right there, the double play to get out of the frame. And with that, Tigers will look to get some runs back in the bottom half of the inning. We'll be right back in just a bit.
Welcome back as the Tigers try to erase the 3-0 deficit. It's going to be Herrera, Schmidt, Meredith, Goodrich, Vonderhaar, Pettit, Wisniewski, McDonald, and Montreza for the Tigers. You get a good look at all the guys there. And Herrera hitting the ball pretty well so far this year. They're going to be against Joseph Oriola, and making his first appearance here this season. Senior out of Pembroke will look to capitalize on that early lead.
Yeah, Tigers should be feeling pretty fortunate they were able to get out of that, just allowing the 3 runs with the way the inning was developing. Good double play turn there at the end of the inning. Herrera already with 3 home runs on the young season, including a multi-home run game last weekend. Really tearing the cover off of the ball. You see that OPS there, over 1.3. Just really eye-popping numbers as he takes a ball there.
Not the typical type of power you'd see out of a leadoff man, but leading the team in home runs. The Tigers have 8 on the year. Did not get one yesterday. And
that's a good way to get on base early on. Just take one off the back shoulder. And leadoff hitter on base for the Tigers. We'll get a replay of that one.
Yeah, that one just getting away from Oriola and hit by a couple of pitches yesterday. Hit by one today, and probably not a big fan of making his way down to first base with the hit by pitch, but Tigers do need base runners here, and Rafe Schmidt will step in. Slow start, but an opportunity now. Already 8 RBIs, so I say slow start. He has absolutely come in clutch when he's needed to.
Yeah, interesting statistics there for Schmidt with 217 average. But the 8 RBIs in just 6 games, he skies that one up. Playable out in left field for the first out. But you mentioned timely hitting, and batting average can be so misleading because getting a hit in a 10-0 game in the 9th inning doesn't have the same value as driving home a run with the bases loaded in a close game. So with Schmidt retired, Mason Meredith stepping up to the plate, bringing in a 308 average with 3 runs batted in and 7 runs scored on the season.
Meredith had been off to a hot start and slowing down just a touch, but 7 runs scored out of the 3 spot. Nice pitch from Oriola there.
Now this whole top of the Trinity lineup has gotten off to a pretty good start. You see all the counting stats in each of the ledgers of these guys. They've really been putting up the runs often and early.
Another swing and a miss from Meredith. It's uncharacteristic, but Oriola is showing some good stuff early on.
Yeah, aggressive swinging there already from Meredith, finding himself down in the count 0-2.
This one back up the middle, and that one will actually get through. So a ball similarly hit early on by Endicott led to a double play. This one leading to another hit, or a first hit of the day for the Tigers.
Great 2-strike hitting there from Meredith on the 0-2 count, staying true to the ball, going back up the middle, keeping the line moving here. 2 on for Michael Goodrich, the cleanup hitter, with a chance to do some damage here. This is a situation that every cleanup hitter dreams about. Guys on base. Already does have 8 RBIs going into this one.
Batting average at 381. It's been quietly consistent for 6 games of the season. Hasn't really stood out as the game's best hitter in any particular game of the year, but at the same time, he's been very good just about every single game that Tigers have played so far. Settling into the new DH role as Tyler Pettit is taking over the duties behind the plate.
Yeah, that always helps the batter or the player to move into that DH position, doing a lot less work on your knees there in the catcher role. Goody getting all that time to focus on his bat.
We'll probably see him some in the field as well this year. Been practicing over at first base. And we'll see him behind the plate more than likely when teams have doubleheader situations.
Yeah, Goody getting ahead in the count here. Good opportunity for the Tigers and really to salvage this first inning. Oh, missing way high and out, and that will be a walk. So although he's unable to drive in a run, he does get on base. So good work from Michael Goodrich with a productive at-bat. And that will get all the ducks on the pond here for the 5-hole hitter, Jack Vonderhaar, who does lead the team in doubles and runs scored. Vonderhaar bringing in a .333 average, already has a homer as well.
Yeah, a couple of doubles yesterday, including a 2-run double in the first inning. That one comes inside.
That one hits him. That will be an RBI, probably the easiest RBI that Vonderhaar will get on the season. Didn't have to move the bat at all, and that's the second hit batter of the inning for Oriola. That curveball off speed just moving way too far in.
Yeah, it just hits him off the back foot there.
And so Vonderhaar driving in the Tigers' first run of the afternoon. Or should I say morning, since we're still before noon here, the early start time.
Tyler Pettit with a home run back on Friday night. 6 RBI, 4 runs scored, batting .300. Doing a solid job defensively for Trinity as well behind the plate. And if you're a Trinity fan, you've got to be optimistic about what can happen here.
Yeah, big chance to actually go ahead in the inning as time is called. And that would certainly help Conti out to get him off the loss, allowing those 3 first inning runs in just a third of an inning.
That one sent right to left field, and going to tag on the play, make it a sac fly, is going to be Mason Meredith.
Yeah, productive out number 2 there, driving in the second run for the Tigers. If you're the Tigers, you'll definitely take that run happily. You still have 2 runners on base here. So we see that nice piece of hitting there from Pettit to drive that one deep enough out to left to score the runner. So Meredith and Herrera both coming in for the Tigers as Jack Wisniewski coming up to the plate. And you see down the line, everyone hitting pretty well so far on the season with averages up there in the 300 range. And that one missing low, evening the count there at 1-1. Wisniewski grounding that one foul. The San Antonio native coming in here with 6 RBIs already on the young season, 4 runs scored. Impressive that he does have that many runs scored, batting this spot in the batting order. He'll need to protect here with 2 strikes in the count. Oriola firing. That one is fouled back as well. Oriola struggling with his command in the inning with already 2 hit batsmen, but looking to get out of it, preserving the Endicott lead.
Make it 3.
Third hit batter. Beginning to think maybe that sign stealing scandal has reached the college level and that the Tigers might have a bounty over their head or something, because already 3 guys being hit in just the first inning. I think it's more a case of Oriola lacking control with the pitch more than anything. But the Tigers will take it as the bases are loaded again. And Wisniewski laughing about that over at first, probably wondering, what is going on with Oriola. So now we'll bring up Grant McDonald here, batting in the 8th spot for the Tigers. Correction, Evan McDonald, I apologize.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the conversation is. They're going to say batter's out.
Oh, yeah, they'll call him out on that. We'll have to wait to explain why, because I have no idea why they'd call him out when he got hit by that, unless he leaned in or swung the bat.
Let's go back to it.
Yeah, we'll have to look at that again.
Okay. Check out the replay here. I mean,
He might have stepped. He stepped across. He was on the batter's box line, unless they're saying.
And so that's. You see, the catcher is starting to make motion that he went across. It's hard to tell if he got hit before he stepped on the line. He gets hit right there.
Yeah, I was going to say, it looked like his momentum just carried him across there after he got hit by the pitch.
And so,
But regardless, that is going to be how the first inning ends. Just a weird fashion. Not something you see every game, but we'll be back for the second inning in just a few moments. And welcome back. Tigers cutting the deficit down to just 3-2 after the first inning, so it'll be Barberi leading off here for the top of the second for the Gulls. And McGann hitting the inside corner there with strike 1. And that last play in the bottom of the first, just not something you see every day. They called Wisniewski out for batter's interference as he got drilled by the pitch, so a painful way to make the third out of the inning, both literally and figuratively. As Barberi ready for the pitch from McGann. And a good breaking ball dropping into the strike zone from McGann there, locking up Barberi for the second strike. McGann deals, that one is fouled away. And got to give props to McGann there, although he did allow 2 of the inherited runners to score. He was able to get a double play to get out of a bases-loaded jam in that first inning. And you have to feel like Coach Scannell is going to rely on him to eat up some innings here. With the game just being in the second, do not want to use up all of your bullpen. Pitch up and in. Man, that one got away from McGann, and that almost drilled Barberi. And we're seeing a beanball fest out here early on with pitches flying all over the place. Good off speed, getting the chase in the third strike. And calmly thrown over to first to record the first out of the inning. So there is the first strikeout. Rack that one up for Cade McGann. Did have 7 strikeouts in his first appearance, so he is no stranger to the K. And that will turn it up back over to the top of the order. It'll be Bald. Matt Bald drawing a walk in the first inning. He will foul that one back for strike one. And in case you guys listening were wondering where Josh went, he's off to do the softball game, with softball starting at noon. They're about to play a doubleheader here today against Whitworth. So the first game at 12. Next one should be starting around 2 or so, maybe half an hour after that first one ends. So if you were feeling inclined, you should go check that one out. And that one missing low and away. So Bald getting back into the count here. 1-1. Again, looking in at the sign, ready. Dealing in that one. Good quality strike there from McGann, and it looks like he's found a little bit of rhythm here in this one. You know, the command missing in that first inning from both the starters, Sam Conti and McGann, who came in his stead. But it looks like he's able to dial it back and find that stuff he had in his first appearance. Count running full. Bald awaiting the payoff. And he ropes that one foul down the third baseline. It'll sneak its way back there into the bullpen. Bald really making McGann work in this sequence. 7th pitch of the at-bat on the way. Bald will sky that one out to center field. And second out is recorded there. Mason Meredith having no trouble putting that one away. So McGann getting the first 2 outs of the inning. It'll bring up Wardwell, who reached base in the first inning. Correction, Bald did not walk in the first inning. He did fly out to Rafe Chomet, so apologies on that. That will be corrected. So Bald now 0 for 2. Wardwell coming in with that first inning walk, already with his second at bat of the day. That one missing. Good effort to frame that one, although it missed by a few inches. Almost able to bring that one back into the strike zone. That one grounded. Good diving stop, but no play there. Over at second. So that'll be an infield hit for Wardwell, despite the diving effort there. At second. So now third hole hitter Brennan, he is already 1 for 1 and had that home run yesterday that kept the Gulls' hopes alive before the Tigers ultimately closed that one out, winning that second game 9-4. Runner going here. And he just beats the throw down to second. Good effort from the Tigers to cut that one down. Unfortunately, good jump there from Wardwell. He was able to take the base. Montreza over there to cover it, but just late. Good throw from the catcher, Wisniewski. See the replay on that one. That one missing up and away from McGann. He is falling behind Brennan here. 2-0 is the count. Good off speed there on 2-0. Not the pitch you expect to see with the 2-0 count. You expect the pitcher to come back with the heater just to get one over the strike zone, but he was able to drop in the off-speed pitch. Count runs to 2-1. McGann missing now 3-1. due up for the Tigers in the bottom half of the inning. McDonald, Montreza, and Herrera, 8, 9, and 1 hitters. So the Tigers also about to turn it back over to the top of the order. Now skied out to Chomet and right. It's under it, and that will be the end of the top of the second. So despite the 2-out single, McGann is able to work his way out of it and pitch a scoreless frame. So Tigers only trailing by 1, about to come up in the bottom of the second in just a bit. Welcome back. Tigers coming to the plate here, down 3-2. Evan McDonald thought he would have a chance to bat there with the bases loaded in the first, but Jack Wisniewski was called out for batter's interference, so McDonald will have to do it here in the second with nobody on base, leading off the frame. McDonald, the sophomore, looking to produce here in the 8 spot in the order. He does get ahead in the count early on Oriola, 2-0. And Oriola really just lacking any sort of command in that first inning, hitting 3 batters. One of them called out on a batter's interference, but just really having a difficulty pinpointing the strike zone, and he was hoping maybe he'd be able to reset that command here in the second, but he's already behind on McDonald with a 3-0 count. And McDonald doing the patient work there to get on base, taking 4 straight balls. That'll be a walk from Oriola. And man, he's got to be kicking himself for that, to walk the 8-hole hitter here, especially given how dangerous that top half of the Tigers order has been. Now you're going to have to deal with at least the next 3 guys. Michael Montreza coming in, second baseman. He shows bunt, but pulls back wisely as that one floated up and away. So now 5 straight balls here. Figure sooner or later the Tiger faithful will bring out the ball 5 heckle, but perhaps not yet. Good piece of hitting from Montreza, roping that one into right field. McDonald will go first to third on that. Nice piece of hitting. So the Tigers are cooking here in the second inning, first and third with nobody out. And Herrera, the number 1 hitter in the order, coming to bat. You got to love your chances here if you're Coach Scannell's Tigers. Herrera already with 3 home runs on the season, and have not seen that much leadoff power in a while. So maybe number 4 is due here if Oriola were to make a mistake. Gulls being patient with Oriola out there. We haven't seen mound visit in a while, despite the fact that he appears pretty jaded out there, the way the Tigers are taking patiently, and then when he's come to the strike zone, hit him around quite comfortably. Herrera leading the Tigers on the season in on-base percentage, coming into the game at .567, so there's a chance that he'll get on base more likely than not every time he's up there. So it's the perfect time for him to get on base now, but he is behind in the count 0-2. He'll take time there, maybe get into Oriola's head a little bit. 0-2, and that one was not fooling anyone. Just a throwaway pitch there. I have no problem with a guy on 0-2 spoiling a pitch there, but you want to make it at least something that the batter might offer at. Breaking ball fouled away. Tigers' bat's already looking good, and that's been a theme of the season. Winning their first game 2-1 against Laverne, but other than that, 12-6, 6-12, and 9 have been the numbers that the Tigers have put up, so really no shortage of runs here. Oriola throwing back to keep the runner at first honest. Really would not be a bad idea here for Montreza to try to swipe second, especially with McDonald lurking there on third base. 1-2, he deals. And despite the catcher's best efforts to bring that one back, it is a 2-2 count. Herrera looking locked in and ready to go. And a good pitch there. Herrera wanted that one back, and strikeout for Oriola to get that first out of the inning. And that was something he needed desperately there. Really good breaking ball that just sort of locked up Herrera. I don't think he was expecting that pitch at all. So now Rafe Chamet will get the opportunity to drive in a run. Josh and I mentioned Chamet coming into the game hitting just .217 on the season, but he did have 8 RBIs in just 6 games, so you know that he's up to the task of timely hitting. Fouls that one back. Chamet, the senior, out of Sugarland, just about 20 or so minutes right outside of Houston. Played ball at Clements High School, and in his senior year, still making big strides on the team. And Oriola keeps looking over there at first, and that is something he's going to continue to watch. 0-1 on the way to Chamet. Looked like Oriola was aiming at him. Chamet may as well have had a target pinned on his midsection there that just said, "Hit me, I'm right here." So that one came within inches of doing some damage, but it is ball 1. Pitch on the way. Chamet a little bit late to it, and he'll foul it away. So Chamet now behind in the count 1-2. Oriola looking to put him away here. And if Oriola can get the second out here without allowing a run to score, he will be in much better shape than he perhaps anticipated. And he does get Chamet swinging, so out number 2 recorded, both via the strikeout, and Oriola looking to pull off this Houdini act here against the top of the Tiger order, which is no easy task. So 2 away now, and Mason Meredith having to drive the runners in here with 2 outs now in the inning. So Oriola walking the first batter and then allowing that base hit. And now getting the top 2 hitters in the Tiger order to strike out swinging via the off-speed pitch. Chamet just a little bit late on it. And Oriola is going to keep picking off, or trying to pick off, rather, the runner at first base. That is Michael Montreza. Again, throwing over to first, and the boos better start coming soon, because I'm not about to sit here for 3 hours as he looks back to first base, but whatever you got to do to keep that runner honest. Meredith puts that one in play, but it is playable. And it's not playable. It drops in between the shortstop and the center fielder. And what looked like probably a routine pop fly off the bat, the Gulls were unable to get to. So there is an RBI bloop base hit for Mason Meredith, and the Tigers will even this thing up at 3 apiece. And it'll bring up Michael Goodrich, who looks to keep it moving here. Oriola did just about everything right here in the last 3 batters. He got the 2 strikeouts, and he got the pop fly. Just a little too much real estate with the center fielder playing so far back. It looked like maybe a little bit of miscommunication between Duffy and McKinley there. Duffy, the center fielder, McKinley, the shortstop, talking about whether or who wanted to get that one, and it appeared that nobody wanted it. So RBI single for Mason Meredith. Timely 2-out hitting. Gotta love it if you're a Tiger fan. And now Oriola having to deal with Goody, and falls behind him 2-0. Goodrich walked in that first inning, already up for the second time. So Meredith on first, Montreza at third. Went first to third on that hit. Now Goodrich will put one into play here in the center. That one is caught by Duffy out there. So Oriola limits it to just the 1 run, but the Tigers do even things up at 3 here. So Conti is off the hook here. He will get a no decision. And it is a fresh ball game and a fresh start for Cade McGann, as we anticipate he'll come back out for the third in just a bit. So we bring you back to action here as Cade McGann getting finished with his warm-ups here. It'll be cleanup hitter Prosser, then Perkins, and then Duffy to bat here in the third inning. Score is deadlocked here at 3. Endicott jumping out to that early 3-0 lead in the top of the first inning. The Tigers chipped away with 2 in the bottom of that frame, and then scoring 1 in the bottom of the second. That one misses there, low and away for ball 1. And McGann can definitely breathe a lot easier here pitching with this tied game. You got to feel a lot more competitive as a pitcher going out there when you're playing either ahead or tied rather than playing from behind. So 2-0 runs up and in, just narrowly missing Prosser. So the count running to 3-0. Again, looking to keep this batter alive here by throwing a strike, but he misses. Just a bit low and away, and I think Prosser wasn't aware of what the count was and took him a second to realize that he had been awarded first base. So a leadoff walk here, and that's how big innings can start if you walk the leadoff hitter to start the inning. But McGann with a chance still to avoid any further damage as Perkins digs in. Perkins drew that walk in the first inning, was able to drive in a run. And Perkins takes the first one for a ball. A lot of walks in the game already. 5 walks being drawn by Endicott. Trinity already being awarded 2 walks, and that one skips a few feet in front of home plate. But a good job by Pettit to block that one. Count 2-0. Tigers drawing 2 walks, but also being hit by a few pitches. A lot of free bases being awarded here in this one. Good job to come back into the strike zone. McGann finding the outside corner there. And You have to love McGann's effort as a first-year pitcher, coming in already impressing in his first appearance and so far keeping this one close. That one grounded by Perkins. They turn it. And a great pick over there at first. Excellent job at first base by Vonderhaar to pick that low throw. And the Tigers get their second double play turned of the day. Excellent job there. And McGann happy with his defense's effort to turn two, especially with the way that ball was moving so slowly. You'd figure maybe Perkins would have a chance out of the box to beat it out, but he was unable to. And the Tigers will take 2 outs. Digging in now is Duffy, center fielder. He's 1 for 1 with that 2 RBI single in the first inning. So McGann looking for redemption. Pins him with the strike there, evening the count at 1-1. Good breaking ball there from McGann to get the second strike. See that bite to that pitch at the end of it there. Really looking good out of his hand. Two-strike pitch coming on the way. And missing up for ball 2. Tigers will look to continue their perfect season. If they're able to win today, it would improve their record to 7-0. And that one missing low, so full count now. Tigers have a few days to rest before playing Babson. That's a 3-game set spanning from February 28th through March 1st. And then traveling for just the 1 game at Hardin-Simmons on March 3rd. So a lot of travel for the Tigers. Full count on the way, and wow, great pitch there to get the strikeout. McGann made Duffy look off balance on that one, up and in, high heat. Running the cheese by him for the strikeout. Second strikeout for Cade McGann. So a 1-2-3 inning despite the leadoff walk, as McGann is able to induce a double play and then get the strikeout on the up and in fastball. So with that, the Tigers will look to give him the lead in the bottom of the 3rd inning. And I'll be back in just a sec. So the Tigers batting here in the bottom of the 3rd. It'll be Vonderhaar, Pettit, and Wisniewski here to try to do some damage against Oriola. Joseph Oriola in his 2 innings has allowed 3 hits and 3 runs. He's walked 2, but he's also fanned 2. He's able to retire both Herrera and Chomet via the strikeout, which is not something a lot of people can say. 1-0 on the way for Vonderhaar. That'll be a strike. Vonderhaar drew the hit by pitch in the first inning to drive in the run. First run for the Tigers. He skies that one deep. Deep, 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 and off the wall. Still, Duffy's still out there trying to play it, and Vonderhaar will keep running. He'll keep running. He'll be close at third, and he'll beat it for a triple to start the third inning. So 3-3 in the third with a leadoff triple. See a recurring theme there. Good piece of hitting there from Vonderhaar to drive that ball out to dead center. And you could tell from Oriola's reaction that he knew that that ball was blasted. So it'll bring up the catcher, Pettit, here. Good opportunity for him to drive in a run. Had that sac fly earlier with the bases loaded. That was the Tigers' second run of the day. So Oriola did get spotted that 3-0 lead in the top of the first, but he has managed to give it right back. And that one is a ball. Pettit ready. He tags that one. That one's hit high and deep. And what a catch there at the wall. Jump and grab. It'll have to be a sac fly for the Tigers. They'll get the run, but what a play out there in center from Duffy. Took what could have been a home run away from Pettit. We'll have to get a replay on that one. I mean, we need to see that one again. Duffy was able to jump up there, make that play. Ball was absolutely tattooed off the bat. Let's see if we can run that back. So with that, that is the first out of the inning. Pettit with a very deep sacrifice fly. That is his second sac fly of the day. And first pitch swinging, that one's grounded for Wisniewski. He will be 0 for 2 after that batter's interference call in the second inning. So the Tigers leading for the first time here, 4-3, and it looks like we're in the making of a slugfest here with the score already reaching 4-3. And today is an appropriate day for a slugfest. It is a 2-year anniversary of the fourth largest blowout in NCAA history, with New Mexico State winning 39-0 against Mississippi Valley State. That is not a typo, 39-0. You can check that box score out if you're interested in reading more. As there's a ball to McDonald. He drew a walk his last time up. That New Mexico State game against Mississippi Valley State, there were 17 walks drawn by the Aggies. That is absolutely gruesome to even look at, much less be at that game. I cannot imagine sitting through walk after walk after walk. But count 3-0 here to McDonald. As he drew a 4-pitch walk his first time up, he'll have to wait on this one as there's strike number 1. Oriola's pitch count all the way up already, over 50. But he's able to come back on McDonald here with the full count. McDonald awaiting the payoff and able to foul it off. Good at bat here. McDonald making Oriola really work for it. And traditional baseball coach talk would be that this is a quality at bat, making the pitcher throw 7 or more pitches in the sequence to run up that pitch count. Missing just up and away, and McDonald reaching base both times now. It's his second walk that he has drawn. And we might be getting close to that Mississippi Valley game that featured those 17 walks, but maybe not yet. Only the third walk here drawn by the Tigers. We'll bring up Michael Montreza. He had a scorching base hit his last at bat. And he is the Tigers' 9-hole hitter, but he's already batting for his second time here, and we're only in the third inning, which is a testament to how well the Tigers are seeing the baseball. McDonald running here with 2 outs. And the ball trickles away from the shortstop covering, so McDonald successfully swiping second there, putting himself in a scoring position. That's the type of play you love to see as a coach. Guy being patient enough in the bottom half of the order to take the walk and then able to steal second. That one is chopped to shortstop. Should be a routine play, and it is. So it will be the 3rd out of the inning. Tigers able to score the 1 run on the very deep Pettit sac fly. That was a sparkling grab from Duffy out in center. But regardless, the Tigers do lead 4-3. We'll be back for the 4th inning in just a moment. Welcome back. The Tigers leading now 4-3 as we bring it to the top of the 4th. It will be a battle of the mix as McKinley digs in against Cade McGann. McKinley 0 for 0 so far. Reaching base with a walk, as many of the hitters in this order have drawn 5 walks so far in the game. Good pitch from McGann there. Gets strike 1. And McGann's ledger has been pretty clean outside of that 1st inning, in which he relieved Conti early on. McGann now has just allowed 2 hits and 2 walks, but no runs have been charged to him. He's also struck out 2. And a chance to do the same here and get the 3rd strikeout, but he misses high. Count will run now to 2-2 for McKinley. That one's grounded weakly over to the pitcher himself, and McGann could have just ran that thing over to first had he wanted to, but flips it over to Vonderhaar for the 1st out. McGann will now face Millar. And Joseph Millar batted with the bases loaded against McGann in the 1st inning and grounded into a double play that caught a fortunate bounce off the pitcher's mound. That one missing up and away. So Millar thought he might have had a base hit up the middle, and that at bat would have kept that rally going for Endicott, but it was flagged down and turned into a double play. So looking to do something here with 1 out and help the Gulls out as they look to try to avoid being swept to open up their season. Mentioned last year they also opened their season here against Trinity, losing the first 2, but then escaping with a win on that Sunday before heading back up to Massachusetts. It's always a treat to have an out-of-town team come in and take in the wonders of San Antonio and get to play us here at home. Millar awaiting the 3-0. Correction, sorry. 3-1 now. Just count. Just catching the outside corner. Good pitch there from McGann. That is not an easy pitch to hit, but it is still a strike. McGann deals, and he blows it by Millar, so Millar Not looking good today against McGann. The double play and now the strikeout. It looks like McGann has his number. And that is the third strikeout of the day for McGann. So ranking that one up in the stats book. So with Millar retired, it'll be the 9-hole hitter Barberi, the catcher. He struck out his last time against McGann. Head of the count already is McGann at 0-2. Liking his chances to get out of this with another 1-2-3 frame. Pitch on the way. Barberi able to stay alive here. He gets him to chase in the dirt yet again. So almost identical. And wow, Barberi really busting it down the line, trying to beat that one out. But ball did not trickle away from the catcher far enough for him to get to first. So 2 strikeouts in a 1-2-3 frame from McGann. Gotta love the brilliant pitching that he's doing here, keeping this one 4-3 Tiger lead. And we'll bring it to the bottom of the 4th in just a sec. Man, that was quick. Great pitching from Cade McGann. And the Tigers will bring up the top of the order with Herrera, Chomet, and then Meredith as they look to build on this 4-3 lead when we return. So Michael Herrera digging in here for the Tigers. Struck out his last time against Oriola with first and third and no outs. So he'll look to get on base and get some redemption here, taking ball 1. Good pitch, low and in from Oriola, getting the hack and a miss. So 1-1 is the count. Mentioned Herrera hitting the ball really well this season so far. So he tags that one into center field. It will drop down for a base hit. So Herrera, Herrera continuing his good hitting, leading off the 4th with a base hit. This could be a good inning for the Tigers as they are at the top of the order with Rafe Chomet coming up. He's not managed to find success against Oriola yet today. He's 0-2. But anytime Chomet is in the box, you've got to like your chances as a Tiger fan. All he does is hit. And so with that batting average a little low so far in the campaign, you have to think that the statistics will experience some positive regression. If you're a big sabermetrics guy, you can go look in at his BABIP and all that sort of good stuff and see that he's probably been a little unlucky with his placement of the ball. Strike 1 as he fouled out and back. Good look from Oriola there with the fastball, bringing it in to 0-2, and he has to feel good about getting ahead of Chomet as he was able to strike him out last time, getting him to chase. Good pitch there, man. Not sure where that one missed. Oriola wanted that strike three, shaking his head there as the umpire did not give him the call, but unfortunately, you just got to pitch through that. 1-2 on the way. Shamet will foul that one away, but it's really unfortunate, though, when you think you made a pitch to freeze one of the better hitters in the team's lineup, and then to find that is called ball one. Pretty disheartening. Oriola now at 64 pitches, and you have to imagine that he's running toward the end of his rope here. Shamet grounds out and softly. Runner able to avoid the tag, and then the throw is wild to first. Runner able to advance to third. Wow, absolutely brilliant work there from Herrera. Gotta love that. Able to get out of the way of the tag. It looked like it might be a routine double play there, but Herrera dodging and jumping and getting out of the way. So it'll be first and third for the Tigers with nobody out here, and wow, making something out of nothing. We'll have to see how they score that one, because I can't imagine it'd be a hit. It's got to be a throwing error at the very least that allowed the runner to go to third. Now the steal on for Shamet. He reaches second base safely, so Tigers doing all sorts of stuff here. Second and third, nobody out with a three-hole hitter. Meredith up. He already does have an RBI single, blooping home that hit just a few innings ago. Pitch on the way here, and Meredith swings through that one, so good pitch from Oriola to even the count at 1-1. Sam McQuarter now in the studio. He'll be joining us shortly. Always good to have his voice on the broadcast. So when he's on, you will definitely notice that it is him talking and not me talking. The count here at 2-1 on Mason Meredith. Should Meredith reach here, we'll bring up Michael Goodrich, and anytime Goody is up at the plate, he strikes fear into the opposing pitcher's eyes. Feel some grand salami time here if we're able to get the bases loaded for Goody. 2-1 coming from Oriola. Meredith goes oppo with that one and keeps it fair. We'll go into the corner. Might be able to score two on this one. We'll see how quickly they're able to bring it back in. Meredith hustling all the way into third. It will be a 2 RBI triple. And Mason Meredith now has 3 RBIs on the day, bringing the Tiger lead up to 6-3. Great piece of opposite field hitting from Mason Meredith. And cannot imagine that Oriola will be in to see the remainder of this inning, although you never know how the other team's going to use its bullpen. At the very least, it'll prompt a mound visit as Barberi comes out to talk to his rattled senior, Joseph Oriola. So there's the update on the score. Thank you to our student crew for getting everything taken care of, as always. Trinity now posting that 6-3 lead and looking to really put a crooked number up here in this 4th inning. And unlike in the softball game going on just across the way here, there is no mercy rule. There is no 8-run after 5-inning limit, so the Tigers can just hang in there and do as much damage as they want. As Goody steps in to the plate here, he's 0 for 1. First pitch swinging, great diving stop over at short by McKinley, and that prevents the run from scoring from third. Not every day do you see a shortstop able to make that diving stop, throw, and keep the runner from scoring. So tip of the cap over there to McKinley at short as Goody goes back to the dugout, unsuccessful in his quest to drive in the Tigers' 7th run. And Jack Vonderhaar will be the man to come up now. Vonderhaar was hit by a pitch to drive in a run in the 1st inning, and he is 1 for 1, getting a base hit after that. Strike one there, the breaking ball falls in. Vonderhaar, being one of the more successful hitters in the lineup thus far in the campaign, has 8 runs scored as well as 4 doubles. And he'll ground that one. That one goes through for a base hit, so the run will score, no question. Could crawl home if he wanted to. And that'll give the Tigers their 7th run. So the Tigers lead 1 touchdown to a field goal here as they increase the score to 7-3. And Oriola now past 70 pitches here, and he's allowed 7 earned runs. Can't imagine the Gulls wanting to stick with him for much longer. But it appears that he will get another shot to get the second out of the inning as the catcher Pettit comes up. He has 2 sacrifice flies in this one already. The first one hit out to left field. The second one hit to dead center and was almost a home run, but it was brought back by the center fielder Duffy, who made a fine play out there to rob what would have been at least an extra base hit off the top of the fence. Oriola ready for the sign. He comes set. It's grounded up the middle, getting right by the shortstop McKinley. So the line keeps on moving. And you know what they say, hitting is contagious. And it appears that the Tigers live by that mantra. So 2 on now with just 1 out. And so we will bring Sam on in the next break in action here, which appears like it'll be never with the way the Tigers are hitting. So, Sam, you might have to sit tight here for another 20 minutes or so, but we'll get you on as soon as we can. So to bring up Wisniewski here. He was hit by a pitch in the first inning, but it was negated because of batter's interference, and he flies that one out to center for the second out. So Wisniewski unable to join in the hit barrage. He's now 0 for 3. Bring up Evan McDonald, and McDonald now having his 3rd at bat, but he is 0 for 0, drawing walks in both of his appearances. McDonald also stole a base last time he was up, so productive day for McDonald despite the fact that he has not seen anything to swing at. Quite literally in his first at bat, taking the 4-pitch walk. And that one called a strike. It looked like it was a strike, but maybe a little confusion there as Barberi was unable to catch that one. But he will set back up. Due up in the next inning is the top of the Endicott batting order. So the guys they want up there to try to put a dent in this Trinity 7-3 lead. McDonald awaiting the pitch. I believe that first one was called a strike, but we'll have to get another word on that because, yeah, the catcher signaling 1-1, so that first one was called a strike, even though it indicates 2-0 there. So count is 1-1, and missing away is Oriola, and Oriola might be thinking that McDonald is Babe Ruth or something up there because he is not willing to pitch to him at all. I mean, he's just been darting around him all day. Good quality pitch there. Bringing it back to 2-2. I guess the idea here for Endicott is you want your pitcher to just finish up the inning. He is at 80 pitches and has allowed those 7 runs, so the Tigers are definitely not being fooled by much. McDonald goes opposite field. He'll keep that one fair. That's a base hit, and the run should be able to score easily. Good piece of hitting there from Evan McDonald, and the back runner able to go first to third. That's something we've seen a lot from the Tigers today is that back runner getting that extra base, running first to third rather than just station to station. And Michael Montreza, the 9-hole hitter, he is 1 for 2. He had that sharp single just a few innings ago, and man, time just all seems to melt together when the team is hitting as well as Trinity is. You sort of lose track of which inning everything went on in because it just seems like there's action everywhere you look. But 8-3 is the Tiger lead now, and Montreza swinging first pitch, and they take the force at second to get McDonald. So that will be the end of the 4th inning, and I'm looking forward to the 5th inning because that means we'll get to hear the melodious tone of Sam McWhorter's voice as he comes onto the broadcast. So we'll be back with Sam in just a second. All right, guys. Well, you asked for it, and we delivered. Sam McCorder on the airwaves with me right now as Cade McGann comes in to throw the 5th inning. Welcome, Sam.
Got to be calling the game.
I have to make sure to take you off mute there. Can you imagine bringing you on to actually have you talk to yourself for an hour and a half? Doesn't seem like the best way to handle the game. But yeah, good to have you. And McGann getting that ground ball, but it goes up the middle for a base hit. So top of the Endicott order, looking to get something brewing here in the 5th.
Yeah, certainly been an exciting game as well. I was looking at my phone on the way over here. I was checking the stats, looking like a close game, 3-3, and then I walk in the studio and it all breaks loose. So I'm looking forward to seeing how Endicott batters are looking today, seeing if they can make a comeback or if Trinity has finally put their foot on this game and made a move to end it.
Yeah, the Tigers scoring in each inning so far, and sort of a subtle attack from the Tigers here, really just exploding there with that crooked number in the 4th. And I guess you missed it earlier in the broadcast. We're talking about today being the 2-year anniversary of the 4th biggest blowout in NCAA history, with New Mexico State winning 39-0 over the Mississippi Valley State Delta Devils. So that game featured 17 walks from the Aggies drew 17 walks. So maybe we won't get that
ridiculous
today, but yeah, it's just like I was looking at the box score and I just said, you know what, this should be marked not safe for work material because it is just obscene. But back to live action, and Wardwell popping that one up, should be playable. Depends on who wants it. Looks like McDonald wants it, and he will get it for the first out.
Yeah, nice solid bit of pitching there from McGann. You know, I've only seen him in limited looks on video. I haven't had a chance to catch him live yet this season. Got a nice delivery, pretty easy going, and certainly looks like a guy who could soak up some innings at the very least.
Yeah, exactly. That's something I noticed as well, really, is that he just has that compact motion. He's not a guy that's going to blow you away necessarily with any heat, but someone that could definitely eat up innings, which is always a benefit for any team.
Yeah, absolutely, and that breaking ball also looks really good. Gets away from Pettit there, but, you know, the stuff that the guys are throwing today, it's so nasty. It's really hard to blame the catcher sometimes. So.
Oh, yeah. And I'm sure, because you're a big baseball guy, I know that. So I'm sure you've seen some of those GIFs or videos on MLB websites where they show guys throwing pitches that just dart 50 feet across the other way, and it's just crazy how they do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even just college stuff.
Ooh, that one barely missing. But.
Yeah, that's a tight little call there. But even college stuff, you know, you look at it in slow motion, and all of a sudden everything looks 10 times nastier.
Oh, yeah.
When you're catching it live, sometimes it's easy to miss, but that thing is breaking from the top of the zone throughout the bottom of it, falling out. And that looks, from the batter's perspective, that looks nuts. So.
Yeah, I mean, I cannot imagine being up there trying to take a cut at it, but count running to 3-0 against McGann. He's had some clean innings there after coming in the 1st in relief of Conti, trying to clean up that mess that was created.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about it a little bit earlier on in the weekend, how Trinity's pitching staff was going to be the question mark if there was one, just because there'd been some unsettling. You know, we had the big injury over the offseason, taking out what would have been our number 1 starter, our Friday guy. And then coming into the season, we had some transfers coming in. We had some people who had slightly unsettled roles at the end of last season where they were going back and forth between starting and relieving, as that's a nice little ground ball that'll move the runner over. But we were just mentioning that, you know, it's probably going to take some time, at least just to figure out who your guys are. And, you know, at this point, this will be the 7th game of the season, and so you should have a better idea, but even still, that's not a ton of baseball when you've got all these different transfers and young players that you're trying to juggle and figure out. We have 2 starters that we feel really great about, feel really locked down about. We have a couple of relievers that we feel really great about, really locked down. And everyone else's role is kind of up for grabs, even at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. You have guys like Natoli and Matt Thomas coming in from the bullpen, guys that have been around for a while that you just know absolutely what you're getting from them. And then you mentioned guys transferring in, guys that are younger coming in. And that isn't to say that they're not capable. Clearly they are if they're on the team, but more so what do they have that they need to prove?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's both a matter of, as a player, they have to settle in, right? If you're transferring in, it's a big move where you have to get used to your teammates. You have to get used to the way that Pettit calls games. There's a lot of stuff to get used to as a transfer. And so that's one part of it. And then as a young player, you have to get used to the responsibilities and the way that things are being done.
Yeah, I will say at the collegiate level too, especially in D3, it's got to be even more difficult because studies anywhere you go is the primary focus. But if you're not playing D1 ball, you're probably here primarily for your academics, and transferring in, having to adjust to the new student body, the new, classes you're taking, the new city, all of that is just really a lot because it's not all about business. You're still a young man, a young adult.
Yeah, so I mean, you just are stacking things on top of it. And that's a great strikeout there by McGann, and I guess we'll be back after
McGann
the
ended
half
the
inning.
Yeah, good job. And yeah, we'll be back in just a bit. All right, we're back here for the bottom of the fifth inning. Yeah, that's correct. Sorry, the bottom of the fifth inning. I don't know where my head is right now. I think it's too buried deep in this article about NCAA blowouts. We were talking a little bit about that. Now it's just kind of dwelling on my mind. And Sam, get this one. 50-3 in the second game of a doubleheader, Nebraska defeating Chicago State. And hey, credit to those guys at Chicago State, man. They put 3 on the board and made that one competitive going down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. At a certain point, though, you just got to say, let's go home,
Yeah, like, what are you doing? Like, why are you still actively trying to put more runs on?
Yeah, I mean,
on
I guess
game?
you're getting BP, but,
Yeah, I feel like the last guy out of the bullpen was just the pitching machine itself.
Yeah.
Or a tee. But anyway, back into the game here. It looks like
New pitcher.
a new pitcher. Yeah, Oriola's day is done as he went 4, allowing 9 hits, 8 runs, 3 walks, and 2 strikeouts. And, probably not the outing he wanted by any means, but still got to give the Tigers bats credit. They took the pitches they needed to take. They got a few hit batsmen, which I guess you'd say is a gift from the pitcher, but they were also hitting in timely situations.
Yeah, they scratched and clawed their way to a couple of runs, and then just had a couple of good pieces of hitting in the middle of that last inning for certain that I saw, and those were 100% on them. Got it done, got the runs on the board, and got the pitcher out of the game.
Yeah, and now we're back to the top of our order yet again as Herrera digs in. He is 1 for 2. I believe he also has been hit by a pitch in that first inning. That one missing wild and away. The new pitcher is number 6. It'll be Kyle Woolman out of East Berlin, Connecticut.
Yeah, Woolman's got a pretty standard delivery. It's a little bit of a lower arm slot than maybe you would expect from the way that he sort of falls off to the left. And you can see it there, the balance being a little off, yanking that pitch left. But it's just that that little bit that he yanks his head. You can watch it right as his foot plants.
Yeah, let's see it here. There, he's just following through to the right side as he issues a 4-pitch walk to Herrera. It's just that follow through. I feel like that pitch is effective when he's able to finish it properly. He's just following through a little too much, I feel like.
Yeah, and certainly I think he is, the way that the delivery works is as he's falling off and he yanks towards that left side, he comes through with a lower 3/4 arm slot, right? So he's getting that extension further out over the plate than he normally would have if he were, say, coming straight over the top, right? So when he balances those two things well, it actually should look really good.
Right. Yeah, and that's how guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like that is how these submariners operate that you see in the majors to a degree. I mean, they just vary that arm slot up to where they're throwing from, like their midsection rather than just going traditionally over the top and pitching it.
Yeah, sure, to a certain degree. And, every pitcher is different. They're all, even a delivery that looks the same is different from one that looks very similar. But I'm going to get Herrera going in a second
Herrera
there on the wild pitch.
Yep.
But, Woolman, the way that he does it is, and I think we're going to get a mound visit just to get a sense from the pitching coach of, hey, this is what you're doing. Got to focus in on your keys. You're falling off too much, et cetera, et cetera. But, some people will have that straight down the line, and when they come with the three quarters, it's just like they're throwing kind of cross body.
Right. It gives you a little bit, I feel like, a better angle to approach the hitter at, potentially.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on what your arsenal is. Especially for Woolman, I feel like what he's trying to do is he has that fastball that he wants to spray to the top right part of the zone, or he wants it to, work diagonally down to the bottom left. And he also has that slider that's going to go on the same plane. And so for him, that could be really effective if he's able to keep the control in. Obviously, he's not been able to do so thus far in this inning.
Yeah, Chomet sitting pretty at 2-0, and really surprising to see that 0 for 3 on Chomet's line in the box score, considering the Tigers have 8 runs. Chomet already has 8 RBIs, and he's just been one of those guys that produces so consistently. He's a guy who in the offseason goes and plays ball for a select team as well.
Yeah, he's certainly got a heck of a lot of talent, as that one is roped.
Yeah, it was caught there on a line. So Chomet with a hard out number 1, and Chomet now 0 for 4, but you have to like that at bat that he just put together there.
Oh, certainly. And I mean, we've been talking all season about how the Tigers have been putting together good at bats all season. A couple of them have just been unlucky. We were talking really specifically about both Chomet and then also about Vonderhaar, about how they were just hitting the ball on a string. MJ Metz as well, another guy, but just right to fielders. And at a certain point, it stops being luck, but to this point in the season, it's so early, you just have to applaud guys for putting the barrel on the ball.
Yeah, you just got to pray to the BABIP gods that you're able to start finding some holes. As we'd mentioned earlier, sabermetrics becoming such a big part of the game. You really have to look beyond batting average to see how well a guy's producing, be it OBP, BABIP, those sort of things. And yeah, for the casual viewer, I guess BABIP, batting average on balls in play, excludes strikeouts from that equation.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of interesting, too, how a lot of these sabermetric things are a way to measure what you're seeing, because you may go through a stretch where you're like, man, this guy looks like he's hitting it so hard, as we get another walk from Woolman, unable to keep his balance in line. But, you may be looking at a guy, you're watching the games, and you're going, man, this guy's hitting the ball hard, he's doing everything right, it seems like he's just getting unlucky. And now we're able to quantify that and say, well, actually, yeah, he is getting unlucky. He really should, in theory, be having some of those drop, like most ball players do, just due to the random ability of that 1 degree shift of hitting it in the gap versus hitting it right at a fielder. And so it's a really good way to measure what you're seeing with your eyes, those traditional scouting things coming through in the metrics.
And the thing is, it helps so much for scouting, that sort of thing. But there comes a time where, as just a casual fan, you just say enough already. Like, can I just watch the game? Because if a guy is hitting it to a fielder and he's out, I mean, he's out. You can use all the data you want. I mean, it doesn't change the fact that the guy is out. So.
Yeah, and I mean, you have to be a little more long-term with it, too, right?
Absolutely.
It's the patient man's
right.
game.
Yeah, right. You really have to have an eye for that sort of thing and really not use one case study or one pitch, one at-bat as a broader generalization. Is Michael Goodrich now ahead 2-1 in the count, and Woolman throwing more balls than strikes. I believe he has 11 balls already. He threw one to Chomet, and then he had those 2 walks, and now 2 right here. So.
Yeah, he's hit his spots a couple of times, but more often than not, just hasn't been able to do it.
Yeah, the runner's advancing on that wild pitch, and you can tell he doesn't look in sync there. He just, as he followed through on that one, you could see the frustration. He kind of leapt off the mound there, the little chip on his shoulder.
Absolutely, and you can really see sometimes guys just, whatever it is, you woke up on the wrong side of the bed, however you want to play it, you just don't have it on some days. And you can see the stuff. I mean, in theory, how it's supposed to work, right?
Another
Like,
walk.
that is just outside the strike zone, but that's his bread and butter, that ball that's going to rise up into that top right portion of the zone, then the one that's going to be down left, then the slider going along those two planes. Like, it's all there.
Yeah, you see how it's
in theory,
gonna
it's a
work.
nasty
Right.
arsenal, right? It's just a matter of some days when you have a delivery that's this complicated and requires you to be so on a fine line, it can be really difficult if you're just feeling off that day. Maybe you had a bad burrito for lunch, right? Like,
Man,
it could
yeah.
be anything.
Well,
and
here
you're
at-
just
here-
feeling like,
yeah.
I can't do anything. I can't find the strike zone.
Well, here at Trinity, that will never be a problem, as you can always get quality omelet service at Maybe Dining Hall, but I'm not so sure what they're serving up in Massachusetts. Might be a little more processed, but regardless, there is strike one as he drops that off-speed pitch in. So, I mean, you're absolutely right. That's the good thing about having an eye for the game, as I know you do up here, is you can really see how the game operates on a more technical level than just saying, oh, this guy's walked 3 guys. I mean, why are they throwing him out there? I mean, you can see what he has when he's on.
Yeah, and I love it. It's such a beautiful game and so many little intricacies that get to play together at the same time. As that should
Score
score.
there, yep.
Yeah.
So 9-3, Tigers bursting it open. They were down 3-0. Remember that in the top of the first inning, and after that point, it has been all Trinity. So the runners at second and third, and so Sam with 1 run home in the bottom of the 5th. Remember that we have not seen a ball being put in play aside from Chomet's out number 1.
Yeah, it's, on the one hand, you have to say, well, good on the Tigers for being patient. On the other hand, you just have to recognize as a pitcher who's struggling, and they're trying to get a guy ready in the bullpen as quick as they can, but he's just going to have to fight through and struggle, and, maybe this is the time when you take that little extra lap around the mound after you throw a pitch, grab the rosin bag, just kind of try and take up a little bit more time for your teammates, because sometimes your best contribution isn't the one you're able to make on the field.
Yeah, buying time for your guy, and I mean, at least damage control. That is such a big mantra for so many avenues of life, is just controlling the damage, is how you cope with adversity, and without trying to get too spiritual in the bottom of the 5th inning. I mean, sometimes you just really have to just wear it and just accept what's going on out there as pitch is fouled away. I feel like that could have been ball 4 had he taken, but yeah, Woolman just having to grind this out, and if he can get out of the inning, great. If not, so be it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and especially as a pitcher, it's one of those occupations where you're just going to have days where you're flat out not good.
Right, and that was a good pitch there, and oh man, that's a little squibber out there, but yeah, that was a fair ball, I believe, with the way the crowd is reacting and the fact that Vonderhaar standing on first. So the one time in this afternoon you throw a quality pitch there on 3-2, you get it hit about 8 or 9 feet, 10 feet, and allow a hit on that. I mean, that was just bad luck.
That's baseball, baby. We'll take another look at it
Yeah,
right
let's
here.
see that again.
Yeah, got him to
spin
chase.
on that thing.
Just, it's so unlucky to have that not spin out. See the catcher just waiting for it.
Yeah, and that was further than I thought. I thought that was right out in front of the catcher. That was out there, like 30 feet out there. But, whatever. It's a base hit any way you slice it. And that's where you really need just to just accept, accept that. That was a good pitch, and unfortunately not the result that Woolman was hoping for. So the bases will be loaded for Pettit. He has 2 sac flies, and that ball's foul. And Sam, you weren't here for the second sac fly he hit, but the ball was hit way deep to center field. It was a nice jumping catch out there by Duffy, the center fielder, and I'm not sure if the ball would have left, but it at the very least would have been a double. So, good web gem that we saw earlier.
Yeah, and Duffy, I know we'd been talking about earlier, just incredibly athletic. just kind of a matter of focus for him. And if he's locked in, he can make some incredible plays out there in center field. But every once in a while, you get those that just kind of fall out of the glove, so to speak, right on the edge, where you're like, oh, I'm in position. I need to look up and see who I'm going to throw out at home. And then it drops in front of you, and then you're thinking, man, what was I doing? I can't believe that happened.
Man, try being Luis Castillo, dropping A-Rod's pop-up and allowing the 2 runs to score to end that game. That game is still being talked about on baseball podcasts everywhere, and it's been, 11 or 12 years. Just cannot escape. You make 20 good plays and you have the one boneheaded play. Bill Buckner had a pretty good career, all said and done.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. But the count is 0-2, so Woolman able to jump ahead of Pettit here. He's already up to 29 pitches, though, with just the 1 out in the inning. And good pitch. That was right down the middle, and that is strike 3. So that is the first called strikeout that we've seen all day. And a good pitch from Woolman to get that second out.
Yeah, and you wonder if he's just about trying to work himself back into form. Obviously, that pitch was not the best he's thrown all night, but it's in the strike zone. It's at least making the hitter think about it.
Yeah.
So perhaps getting that balance just a little bit more in line.
Yeah, not sure why Pettit was so eager to take there on 0-2. You got to protect, but there's ball 1. And Pettit has had some good at-bats today. And not saying he had a horrific at-bat by any stretch. He just got fooled on that pitch. So Wisniewski coming in, he is 0 for 3, so he and Chomet trying to get the goose eggs off of the box score. Wisniewski's chances now. Chomet getting out earlier in the inning. And now I'm locked in on watching Woolman's arm action there, just his whole delivery, because you highlighted that. Seems like he's trying to get that maybe a little extra toe tap there before winding up and releasing it, but it is 3-0.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell he's trying to drag it back, and you can even see over the course of the inning he's moving a little bit less down the first base line now and being a little bit more central with things. Like you saw on that pitch right there, that's his best delivery all night. And so you can tell it's the gears have been working. He's been trying to make the change. It's just sometimes so difficult when you come in so far off. You may not get time to make it.
Yeah, exactly. And that one really not fooling anyone, bouncing in front of home plate, and that'll bring home the Tigers' 10th run of the day. So Tigers into double figures here in the 5th inning, leading 10-3. So they've had 2 in the first, 1 in the second, 1 in the third, 4 in the fourth, and now 2 here in the 5th. And looking for more as McDonald will dig in. He's had some really good at-bats today. He's drawn 2 walks, gotten a single, stolen a base. And he's batting in the 8 spot, and that's really all and more than you can ask from your 8-hole hitter.
Yeah, it's been a good time for him. He got a little time on Friday, showed himself up with a good at-bat, showing a good eye. And now getting a chance to maybe prove himself in a slightly bigger role. That left field spot is one that we've been kind of talking about, maybe a little bit unsettled. If there's one place on the defensive side where the Tigers are kind of trying to figure out who their guy is, that might be it. So,
yeah, Tigers would love it if McDonald proved to be that guy so they could solve that question. And missing high and tight, so count at 2-1. McDonald were to get on here, man, I really cannot imagine that Woolman will be out there much longer. And he's already at 39 pitches. He's walked 4 guys in the inning, and the one hit he allowed was a little dribbler that barely stayed fair between the catcher and third.
Yeah, and you're in a difficult spot as a coach now, too, because it looks like he's almost gotten it back together, and there are already 2 outs, right? So
he just needs 1 more.
It's so close, and it's a fine margin where you can look at it and say, okay, well, what happens if Trinity scores 1 more run, but we get out of this inning and we don't have to burn another pitcher? And I think that's the mental calculus that you have to be doing right now. This might be it right here. And
I thought he caught it at first. It looked like, well, first off the bat, I thought it looked well out of play, and then we got that good camera view of it. And so just a few centimeters away from getting out of the inning was Woolman, but now we'll have to do it again at 3-2. And, Sam, I think you're right. I mean, with just needing 1 more out, and the thing is, I guess what's the difference between 10-3 and 11-3 is you saw that one just squirting out.
So close.
He had it just
That's a
like on the
heartbreaker.
heel of the glove. I just wasn't able to squeeze that one home. But 3-2 here. If I'm McDonald, I'm not expecting a strike here, but of course you need to see what comes.
Yeah, I think you have to sit on fastball here because he hasn't shown breaking ball command. He has shown fastball command at times.
Oh, he got him with the breaking ball.
That is an incredible pitch.
That was a really good pitch.
Good on Woolman, man.
Yeah, and he does get out of it with the full count, so damage is limited to just the 2 runs. It felt like maybe more, and we could swing it to a break here, but if you want to keep talking, I'm game to keep talking about what we're seeing out here. So.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be an interesting one going forward. I think McGahan is almost certainly. Yeah, I believe he's out on the mound. So I mean he's going to get another inning. Certainly, I think that it's going to be. This one might be a little bit of a difficult one, especially when you're the guy not expecting to come in and start. The longer you go, there's a point you reach in that where it's like, all right, well my body was not ready to go 8 innings, right? So how many pitches do I have left in me realistically? This could be the inning where he starts to slow down a little bit, or it might be a little bit further on, just depending on where the pitch count lands. If we're seeing him up into the 60s, might get a little bit of shaky legs going on. But it's going to be an interesting one for him. Endicott needs to get something. 100%.
Right here.
Need to get something.
6th inning, man. That's some dangerous territory if you're down 7 going into the 7th. So,
and especially with the talented relievers that the Tigers have, Thacker hasn't pitched since Friday. He's probably available. You have several guys like that who can probably come in, maybe give you 2 innings, maybe just give you 1 of really good quality. And so if you're not getting something here, the ideal time to get it would be on that transition phase, right? Right as McGahan is getting a little bit tired, but they're not willing to bring in the rest of the bullpen yet. If you can get it there, that's where you want to be able to get it.
Absolutely. And that first pitch is going to be skied from Perkins. So Nick Perkins offering on the first pitch, and that's exactly what you want if you're McGahan. That efficient first out. You're right, he's up to, I guess now 73 pitches after that first one there. So I think, this is probably his last inning. Can't imagine you'd run him back out there leading by 7, and who knows the way the Trinity offense has been looking, probably be more than 7 when he were to come back out there in the 7th.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Scannell is, his philosophy is very much not based on pitch count necessarily. It's really all about how the guy is looking out there on the mound, and if you're not looking tired, as that's a really nice breaking ball dropped in there for a strike.
Yeah, good first pitch breaking ball too. Not expecting that, but
yeah, good one to pull out of your hat every once in a while, as that's going to be another one fouled off. But Coach Scannell, if you're not looking tired out there, he doesn't care if you're at 130 pitches. He's going to let you finish out as much of this as you want to finish out. It's really all about, are your mechanics breaking down? Do we think you're at risk of injury? That sort of thing. And so McGahan could go conceivably, a fair bit longer. I think what we will see, though, is a little bit of tiring out.
The way you describe that whole process of what Coach Scannell looks for seems a much more calculated risk, because there's a strikeout again from McGahan, but a calculated risk on the pitcher's arm. It's not just letting a guy go out there because, he's feeling great, he wants to get it, he's revved up. It's no, we're looking specifically for these signs as to whether or not he's actually good to go.
Yeah, and to a certain point it's scientific, right? But at a certain point, too, you have to realize, well, once you start seeing that a guy is tired, you have to get somebody up in the bullpen, right? So he has that little extra bit on the end of some people's outings. We saw it on Friday a little bit where it just looked like Corey Cater was gassed, and we weren't able to get somebody up in time, and he had gotten out of the inning already. Well, he's thrown those pitches. You can't take those back.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, I think you could say it is a little bit more of a calculated risk, but I do think that to a certain extent it's also a little bit better than saying, hey, you're at 70, your day's over. Because not everyone's arm is the same, and not everyone's arm is the same on a different day. It could be a day-to-day thing where one day you feel like you could go 150 pitches, and the other day you're like, man, I'm gassed at 30.
Well, to the other side of the coin there, I think that sort of philosophy can also damage a pitcher in the long term, as that one is not checked up on. So another strikeout from McGahan. He now has, I believe that gives him 6 strikeouts. At the very least, 6 or 7. We'll have to make sure on that. But anyway, that sort of philosophy is what did in a lot of pitchers. I'd say Tim Lincecum is a big example of a guy that just had so many of those long, complete game, almost no-hit or no-hit performances where eventually his arm just blew out on him, and the end of his career was just so lousy because his arm was non-existent.
Well, Saul, I mean, you do have to be careful. And, no one is going to say that Coach Scannell is not careful. He's not flying by the seat of his pants.
Absolutely.
But you do have to recognize that every pitcher is a risk, no matter who they are. And so I think that what they do at Trinity, which I think is, both a good idea and I think they do it fairly well, is they treat every pitcher as an individual. They come to them on their own terms. And I think that they have a fairly good idea of where guys' limits are. And I think if you're doing that, you're doing almost as much as you can. You could make more preventative measures where it's like, well, we're not even going to let you get to that point. But to a certain degree, a lot of these guys, this is college ball.
Right.
This is your chance to make something special because maybe you're not going to make it to the pros. That's just a reality for a lot of these players. And so that's another thing that you have to balance as a coaching staff.
Yeah, and to your credit, I mean, leaving a guy in that's rolling along nicely is always good for the team anyway. So we get a new pitcher. It's Joseph Brown out of Poultney, Vermont. And, man, that brings back some memories for me. I went to this French language immersion program up in Poultney at Green Mountain College. So good memories, man. Good to see Poultney getting some representation here. I think I might still have my Poultney Blue Devils t-shirt somewhere in the closet. Might have to bring it out for the next time we see this guy on the mound, but regardless, he will be out there. We'll have to get that updated graphic when we can to indicate that Woolman is no longer in the game. But, Woolman finishing up his inning, allowing the 2 runs, walking 4 guys, allowing that base hit that I'm really hesitant to even call a hit with just how shallow it was hit in the infield.
Hey, they all count.
Yeah, they do count, but he finished it off with that really, really good hook to McDonald on the full count, which I was impressed by that pitch.
Yeah, and I mean, his job pretty much was just to fight through that inning, and he did his job as best he could. It wasn't a great day for him, but, when you're able to get to that next pitcher, and sure, some damage was done, but it could have been so much worse. You were listing off the stats that we were, 4 walks, a hit. You're looking at that kind of damage, and you're like, oh, man, that was probably a really bad inning. But only allowed 2, so was able to make it to your bridge guy, and hopefully you can keep it close as McGahan maybe tires out, and maybe you can grab something here.
And that one's skied to the opposite field, and there is enough real estate out there, man. This whole outfield today has just acted as the Bermuda Triangle because pop flies are just finding all sorts of real estate out there. I mean, Meredith had that base hit early on that tied the game at 3. It was just a little pop fly that and the way I called it in hindsight was pretty lousy because I made it seem like it was just some routine pop fly, and then it ended up finding that space. But to the topic of pitchers' lines, yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, we saw Colin Hajar for Endicott, who posted a final line of no innings, 1 hit, 4 runs allowed, 1 walk, and 2 hit batsmen. And that is really just an eye-catching line. He allowed 1 hit but 4 earned runs.
Yeah, that's a tough day. And, I mean, to your point, that's, obviously 2 hits batsmen, slightly worse than 2 walks. But if you're thinking about it, that's just 5 people on base.
I guess the inherited runs had to have scored. They took him out, and the next guy allowed them to come in.
Yeah, but I mean, same thing that was allowed last inning. So, really on Woolman's part, good of him to get out of there with the limited amount that he did.
Yeah, absolutely. 3-0 count now to Herrera, and he walked him. So Tigers have now drawn 8 on the day. We're only in the 6th inning. We are creeping ever so much closer to Mississippi Valley territories. That magic 17 number, which led to that 39-0 blowout. So,
wow, don't get too ahead of yourself.
Yeah,
yet. A lot of baseball left to be played. But we've seen Joseph Brown on the mound before. Wasn't particularly effective on Friday. Got through a couple of guys. Did his job, but not too dissimilar to Woolman in that he just didn't look like he had his best stuff. That's a good pitch right there.
That just cut across that whole plane right there, and dropped in for strike one. And, of course, the best pitch of his day comes to Chomet, who's still looking for his first hit of the afternoon. But I'm just interested watching Brown's release. He almost looks like he's kind of short-arming it over there to home.
Yeah, he's got a very compact action, and it's something you see a lot with guys who they sort of whip the ball near their head. Sometimes it looks like they're really short-arming it, but really it's just a very quick path to the ball, gets his head out of the way, and it's a three-quarters motion. This looks like it should be caught, and it is.
Matt is 0 for 5 now, and F7KF force out at 4, and then flying out to left field. But Chomet did actually get on base earlier. He hit that grounder that Herrera was on first for. Herrera was able to avoid the tag, and then the errant throw to first. I believe that was right as you popped into the studio waiting to get on the air. But
yeah, I got that little fielder's choice for him, but it's been a pretty tough start to the season for Chomet. And, again, we were talking about it earlier. At what point do we start saying, maybe this isn't all about being unlucky?
Yeah, right. He might just not be seeing the ball as well as he's used to seeing it. And, at a certain point, you can tinker with the order. Of course, everything seems to be running smoothly as a whole for Coach Scannell's team. And traditionally you do have your best hitter in there at the number 2 spot. Sabermetrics would say that 2 guy is the guy who can get on base pretty well and maybe drive in the leadoff hitter if the leadoff hitter is at second. Meredith 3 for 3. He's had a perfect day so far. He has a triple, 2 singles, and a walk. And I'd argue that Chomet play, that play where he reached on that fielder's choice, so it really got it going for the Tigers.
Yeah, and sometimes it's things like that where, you weren't expecting to get a hit. You were expecting maybe a double play, and you just managed to get 2 guys on base, and all of a sudden you're feeling a bit fortunate, feel a little bit of that pressure come off of you, and you're able to just zone out and be able to hit the ball like you can rather than pressing. Can be really good for a team as a whole. And as you mentioned, hitting being contagious, I think that it's really about that mentality where, one guy gets going and all of a sudden people are like, oh man, this guy's hittable. I can get this.
Yeah, absolutely. You see when you see someone else do something, it gives you that motivation that you can also do it. But Brown now has 2 outs as he was able to strike out Meredith on that half swing. So good work for Brown getting the next 2 guys after allowing the first 2 to reach. And he is in the heart of the order, though. And we'll see what Goodrich can do. 0 for 2 so far, but he's drawn a couple walks. And he rolls over on that. Man, he needs to hustle out of the box. And he's just out. I feel like he just hesitated. As soon as he hit it, he was a little disappointed and sort of jogged out of the box. And that little half step was the difference between an infield single and out number 3. And that came out wrong. I mean, I don't want to say that any guy on Trinity's team isn't hustling, because these guys do consistently give it their all on the field. You just sometimes get irritated with yourself for rolling over on one and maybe don't leg it out as hard as you could.
Yeah, it can happen. And, oftentimes it's just it can be a case of just feeling like you thought you hit the ball differently than you did.
Yeah, right.
That hesitation of, oh man, I thought that was a line drive, and then all of a sudden, and this all happens within like the space of a millisecond.
Yeah, right.
So
there's
it's
not much
that,
time here.
Yeah, so you're like, oh, and then you're like, oh, I need to be running, and you go. And I think on that one he was probably out no matter what, but
that was really close though. And that last step, he just has those long strides, man. Able to almost get in that very edge of the base. But Sam, we're at that spot here where McGann is back on the mound. He's facing 8, 9, and 1, so maybe the strategy here is you can take care of these guys at the bottom of the order relatively simply and then go to the next guy in the bullpen in the 8th inning.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be a bad plan. It's one that Coach Scannell has gone to before. I think he might be a little bit hesitant to try and leave it for 3 innings to the bullpen if McGann can go further than that. But McGann, on 81 pitches, looked good last inning. I think it's really a matter of how he gets through this one. If he's laboring and, it takes a lot of pitches, which it looks like it's not going to, as that one is.
Oh, no, he throws that wild. PFPs, man, you got to work on your PFPs, pitchers fielding practice. It allows the runner to get to second base. And that was a tough play for him, and that's one of those plays where you might just want to eat it as soon as you field it because the runner was already so far up the line.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I can't begrudge him going for the throw, but that's certainly one that you would expect to be an out maybe, we'll call it 70% of the time. And now you're sitting there with a guy on second base for what should have been a relatively quick out.
Yeah, absolutely. That could have been out number one. And I believe that we have a pinch hitter up because Barberi was a right-handed hitter, and now we're seeing a left-handed hitter.
Yeah, I believe this is Matthew Rabita.
Yeah, absolutely, number 17. So he will be the pinch hitter. And I just hesitated there because I was trying to look at the box score and make sure that I had all my numbers lined up, and I'm pretty sure I did. So, yeah, we are seeing a new hitter here, and we may be seeing a new pitcher as we get this mound visit.
Yeah, this feels like the how are you doing mound visit.
Yeah, with the arm around the shoulder, the good old father-son, coach-to-player talk.
Yeah, and, we see this a lot. This feels like hey, this is how you're looking. We're noticing these things in your delivery. If you can clean it up, we'll let you go through to the end of this inning. But, we want to make sure that you're able to, get through this safely. We want to see you clean this up. Let's try and get these guys, Wouldn't be surprised if there is a guy in the bullpen about to get warmed up just in case.
Yeah, I mean, I think also these mound visits do a lot in buying time for the guys in the bullpen to get themselves going. And I believe that bullpen is out on the field, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, I haven't been able to watch a whole lot of Trinity baseball. Oh, we see it. Okay, it's over there in the corner because I know there are some teams where they do have the guy positioned off in foul territory warming up.
Yeah, I think that, if I remember correctly, that used to be a thing back in the day that may have. I don't believe it was something that was used during games, but I think it was there just as like a practice mechanism.
Oh, that might be really old school then, because I have seen like footage, that sort of thing, but it doesn't seem like something that modern, rules would allow because you could easily get pelted by a line drive while you're throwing your warm-up pitches out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we see less and less of today. I believe it's in maybe 2 MLB stadiums still.
I feel like is it in Wrigley? That one's laced out into the outfield. So lead is being trimmed here, and Sam, man, you are absolutely right that McGann sort of fading away here as he gets up in his pitch count. And unfortunately, it started on that little dribbler back to the mound, which I believe should be scored a hit and then a throwing error. Then he walked the next guy on 4 pitches and then allowing that RBI single. So the score is 10-4 now. McGann still in the game. I mean, he does have 7 strikeouts. He's only allowed a handful of hits.
Yeah, and, he's looking a little bit less, I guess tight is the right word with his delivery. Things just look a little bit looser. Arm looks like it's lagging behind a little bit more. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is a mound visit to take the ball away.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is the time where you have to cut the cord. And, we'll see who we get out of the pen here. So the right decision, and you really can't fault Coach Scannell for trying to squeeze that last inning out of him. And a deserved round of applause from the crowd. I mean, McGann coming in cold, not expecting to see this much work as the starter was Conti.
Yeah, and you can see the way that it works, right? All right, we're going to send our pitching coach out there. Let's just see how the guy is feeling. We've noticed X, Y, and Z. We think that, you're getting a little tired. Your mechanics are breaking down a little bit, maybe putting more stress on your arm. If you can fix it, we'll let you stay in and maybe finish out this inning. If not, we're going to need you to, relinquish the ball. And so made the visit. Didn't look like it was a fixed. Got to bring your guy in.
Yeah, we've got Thacker in. You were right. Thacker is available to throw today. And
here's my guy.
You can see him bringing that cheese already in the warm-up pitches. I would hate to be the guy in there facing him, and so that's why I'm here in the booth calling it rather than playing it.
Yeah, here's the fireman. He's got a little bit of a fire to put out. Got runners on the corners. Rabita and Bald both there. And had a really good outing on Friday. I don't know if you were able to catch some video of it, but just looking like he was on his game. He's made slight tweaks to his delivery since last year, and that's a good sign. When Arjun is hitting the backstop in his warm-up pitches, it's going to be a good
he's
day.
Ready, man.
He's ready.
Oh, yeah, I'd hate to be the guy facing him. Arjun Thacker is just a sophomore, but I feel like his presence has been known here for quite some time, coming out of Sugarland.
Bit of a cult hero.
Yeah, a little bit, actually. And I've played basketball with him a few times, and every time he's out there, just a really good guy to play basketball with. He's just always a cheerful sort of guy, always has that good attitude about him, so hope to see him perform well out here.
Yeah, really nice man, good dude. And when he gets on the mound, an intimidating presence out there. 6'4", 225, got some heat on the fastball. Can throw the breaking ball every once in a while when he needs it. It's a tight little slider, but more often than not, you're just going to see the cheddar.
That's just all you need from a guy in the pen. And there's a lot of guys that you even see in the pro level that they tried them as starters, and they really didn't have that secondary pitch, and then you put them in the bullpen, and they succeed with just that main weapon of having that hard fastball.
Yeah, and Arjun is the type of guy. He's worked so hard as that is terrible pitch to hit for a left-hander. That starts on the inside of the black and moves its way all the way over the plate. That is so hard to keep a hold of, especially when it's coming in there as fast as it's coming in. But, we mentioned it on Friday, just has done so much work really to better himself and lets the runner go there, not even worried about it. But he wouldn't be a guy you'd be surprised about if you say, all right, well, he's in the bullpen as a sophomore. He's going to try and get that breaking ball a little bit better. And then all of a sudden you see him junior year in the rotation making some starts. And then senior year he becomes that guy that you rely on. This one is going to go home, not going to be a play at the plate.
Well, we'll take the sac fly and get that out.
Absolutely. You get the out. Sometimes as a pitcher you can feel so much pressure to not let the guys score that were already on. But sometimes it's about just doing that half job. Getting the outs, getting out of the inning as quick as possible. And you got to kind of play your own game to a certain extent and just ignore what's been going on around you and say, all right, this is the guy in front of me. I got to get him out. Am I getting the fly ball? It's not ideal, but you know what? It's an out.
Right, absolutely. And that run we're looking at on the stat sheet now, it said from what I was just looking at, unearned because of that throwing error that McGann made. And that's something I really dislike about baseball statistics is if the pitcher makes the error, then the run is unearned. He gets it off his docket, even though he was the one committing the error. I guess there's no way around it because an error negates the earned run, but I wish there was a little caveat there in the
Hey, you got to keep baseball weird, my man.
That's the thing. It's just like Austin, Texas. People love it because it's so weird. Shout out to all my fellow Texans on the air.
My goodness.
That was a great pitch there from Thacker. Sam, those are the type of pitches that make you just sit back and just say, like, wow, I love watching this guy throw.
I really do, and I think that every time he comes up to the mound, he's so good because he has a plan. He knows how he wants to get hitters out. He's worked really hard to get to a point where he can execute that plan, and it's so beautiful when it happens. That's not even a breaking ball, Saul. That's his fastball. It looks like that. That is dipping out to the corner of the plate.
Let's see that again.
Outside of the zone. Come on.
We got to see that again, man. That was just a thing of beauty. And I feel like that's his – I might just be looking wrong at it when we get the replay there. Looked like a hard breaking ball, maybe like a hard slider or something. We'll see what the grip was on that pitch. Let's see. It just the bottom just falls out on that
we're
thing.
into change-up territory.
Yeah, it's like a hard change.
Come on, man. It's ridiculous.
That's a good way to get out number 2. The run does not score. And it's such a hard pitch to pick up on because everything he's throwing is hard. Even the off speed is not really off speed. It's just a hard breaking ball. So you don't really know what to sit on. And he can bring it out in any count also.
Yeah, he has that sort of, I almost want to say it's a splitter. I'm not going to,
That's what it
though,
sort of looks
but
like.
I think that it's just the way that his arm action works. And we'll have to talk to Coach Scannell and get a little bit more clear on it because we haven't been able to get an angle on the grip.
Yeah.
But the way it works, I mean, for these guys in college, it just looks like a crazy fastball because it's so quick. There's not a huge velocity separation between it and the fastball.
There's
you can see
one.
it right there.
Yeah.
It's so nasty, but it's coming in so quick. It may as well be, your primary pitch.
Well, you've seen good closers before just at the pro level, guys like David Robertson or even Cody Allen before he lost his role as closer, having a strong knuckle curve that they throw in addition to that fastball. And that's really been a good secondary pitch that some of these guys can feature. And he issues the walk there to Prosser. So the game not over by any means. I mean, it's 10-5. There's 2 guys on here with 2 outs, and it'll bring up Perkins, the left-handed 5-hole hitter, who is 0 for 2 with a walk, but also a double play. So we'll see what he comes with here. I think he's got to start him with the heat and just get in, strike one, and get in early.
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, Thacker's, he's been fortunate because there are a ton of lefties in this lineup, and his stuff is just so impossible against lefties, especially college hitters at this level. If you're not really on top of it, the way that his stuff works, he's got that separation, and, I'm coming around to the idea that it's maybe a split or change, but it just comes in so fast. It looks like the difference between a 4-seam and a 2-seam, the way that he works it. And when you're doing it that way, you've got that slight bend towards your arm side into the hands of the left-handed batter that's maybe just off the plate and comes in, and then you've got that one that falls all the way around. And I think this is another mechanics thing, which is similar to what I noticed, which is just that his plant foot looks a little bit off on those last couple of pitches and that last at bat. So I think that's what this is about. This isn't, anything about, we're getting somebody warmed up in the bullpen necessarily, although I'm sure that they are, because you're just in bullpen territory. But, these are the moments where you just need to make an adjustment and say, hey, this is what I noticed. Let's get this fixed. Let's get this guy out and move on.
Yeah, and the deal with the bullpen factor becoming such an issue, and this isn't something at the college level yet, but I'm sure there might be some rumblings about it, of making a guy come in for, I guess, all 3 outs before you can take him out?
Well, you have to face 3 batters
face
at
3
the
batters
major
minimum,
league level
right?
now.
Yeah,
it's an interesting one. I've talked to a lot of people about it. It's just so funny. You watch a guy make such a good swing on a pitch, and it's just barely fouled off.
Yeah, right. It's the power of that, of what Thacker's bringing. But that rule basically just negates the need to have any lefty-only guys in the bullpen.
Yeah, I mean, it's a term that was coined, the loogie.
Loogie,
right?
yeah, the loogie, man.
Lefty one-out guy.
Yeah, don't take away my loogie, man. That's part of the baseball I know and love.
Yeah, it's a change that's meant to speed up the game. I don't actually think it's going to speed it up that much.
That's the thing. I don't think it's going to do that either.
Well, how many times do you realistically see a guy come in for only one batter? It's not as much as I think we think it is, just because it's one of those things that you notice when it happens. So I don't think it's going to speed things up, as that is a beautiful pitch.
But I think there's another motive behind it, and I watched a video on this where this guy talked about how he thinks it was partially inspired by the Brewers in the playoffs against the Dodgers using Wade Miley to face a lefty to start out the game, and then as soon as he faced the lefty, or no, he faced a righty, I think it was, and then they put in a righty because it was the way the bats were stacked in the lineup. They made it so they used Wade Miley, a lefty, as a decoy, and then brought out another starting pitcher, is what I'm getting at.
Right. No, I mean, and that's been something that we've seen in the opener. That was, by the way, just a foul tip that wasn't caught, so the at-bat continues in case you're wondering why there was a swing and not an out there. But I know that the Rays had become kind of famous for doing that during the middle of last season. This is going to end the inning almost surely, and it does, as Thacker gets his 3 outs.
It only allows that one inherited run to score, so really good job on his part. But, yeah, the whole opener thing for the Rays worked well. I'll give them credit. It's just really see, I'm one of these old-school sort of guys. I'm going to old-head you here as a 22-year-old college student, but it's something I feel like ruins the integrity of baseball, man. Even saying that makes me feel like a fossil. Get my room ready at the retirement home. But, I mean, it's just, I'm used to baseball being a game where the starting pitcher operates 6 innings, 7 innings, whatever. And even in today's game, it's rare to see a pitcher go more than 6 frames, I'd say. Maybe not rare, but less common.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly less common. I think that we have gotten to a point where we think that, again, it happens more than we think it does. I mean, the Rays actually didn't use the opener that much. If you were listening
I'm
to
gonna
it
have
over
to
the
disagree with
radio.
that take. I mean, it seemed like it was going on every game aside from when Blake Snell was pitching.
Well, and that's the thing, right? It seemed like from the outside, just because people weren't watching the Rays every night, you think, oh man, this is like every time Blake Snell's not pitching, we got the opener going on. When in reality, it's just like in place of their 5th and 4th starters, right? So they actually had 3 guys going as regular starting pitchers 3 nights of the week, and then those other 2, they were having the opener on it. And I mean, I can't say I'm the biggest fan of it, right? Like I'm not in love with it. I do think that the way that the rules are set up, it's something that strategically you can grab some benefit from. So,
no, I think it works effectively. Just as a fan watching the game, I mean, I'm basically speaking for John Q. Public here and saying, this is not the baseball I grew up on. Like, where is my starting pitcher? But anyway, back to the game. We're back here, bottom of the 7th, but there are definitely so many sides to just, I guess, 2 sides to any of these issues. There's so many different possible opinions you could have.
Well, and there's a lot of angles you can come at it from, and I think that, I respect everyone's opinion on it. If you hate it, you hate it. That's fine. If you love it, you love it. That's fine. To me, it's just baseball, and it's the game that I love, and however it's played, I think it's just an interesting game that has a lot of potential for different things happen, and I think for me that's the beauty of it. So
yeah, especially there's just tons of topics from infield shifts to the Astros banging trash cans on their dugout. Although that's more of an isolated
that up
incident.
To me, Saul.
Oh yeah, okay, we're not going to.
It's a sore subject.
We don't need to talk about that. And Josh and I were kidding around at the beginning of the broadcast that maybe Trinity was getting involved in some sign stealing because they were getting thrown at so often. They already got hit by 3 pitches in the first inning, with one of them being to. No, it wasn't Vonderhaar. Sorry, it was Wisniewski, but he was called out for an interference, so that one was negated. But anyway, back to live play here. Vonderhaar is quietly 3 for 3 in the midst of all this action.
Yeah, he's been having a good, solid season at this point. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. He was a guy that we thought could be something really special when he came on campus. That one's not going to make it all the way to the outfield, but we've just been waiting for that year. It's like, is he going to put it together this year? Is he going to put it all together this year? Is it going to be this year? And I've been thinking since the moment he stepped back onto the field that this was going to be his year to really put it all together and have that sort of star season for the Tigers. And at least to this point, it looks like that's coming true. So all the best for him, and I hope he can keep it up.
Yeah, me as well. And seeing that he's only in his junior year at Trinity, we'll have many more games to show what he's got in the tank, as Pettit, the catcher, will step up. Has a few sac flies, has a base hit, and I believe he struck out looking the last time. Off the end of the bat, and it'll float its way into right field. So good piece of hitting the other way. And I think the measure of a really good hitter is someone who's able to hit the ball to all fields effectively.
Yeah, I mean, when you can put it where you want to, that's certainly a skill, and I think it has so much to do with just your barrel control and your timing. And if those 2 things are there for a young hitter, for any hitter really of any age, you're able to do what you want with the pitches that you find, and then it just becomes a matter of seeking your pitch out, and you're really able to do kind of whatever you want with it.
Yeah, absolutely. That timing is really the key word there, I'd say, is just timing the swing. I think it's just all connected. When you time the swing well, you're able to control the barrel or which part of the bat you want on the ball. So Wisniewski coming in, still looking for his first hit as well. So in the Tiger order, everyone with a hit except for Shamet, Goodrich, and Wisniewski, but they have still contributed. Wisniewski drawing a walk his last time up. So Brown can keep them in the game here. What can Brown do for you? Well, he can keep you in the game here as he induces the pop fly. Out number 2.
Yeah, it's been some good solid work from Brown. And, we mentioned on Friday didn't quite look like he had his best stuff. Looked like the delivery was a little out of sync. Tonight looking very in sync, looking like he's doing what he wants to with the baseball. He's controlling that little running fastball. He's got the slider working. All seems like it's going for him. And he's been able to make fairly easy work of the Tiger lineup so far.
Yeah, he allowed the first two guys he faced to reach base, but since then it's been basically cruise control. So I say that. Good piece of swinging there from McDonald. That'll find deep turf there in the outfield. Should be able to bring the runner all the way home. And it does. So an RBI double with 2 outs by Evan McDonald. It's his second hit of the day. So good multi-hit performance from your 8-hole hitter. And that run will be charged against Brown. So not a totally clean slate for him anymore.
No, and, all credit goes to McDonald on that. It's a pretty decent pitch there. Just gets the barrel on it. And, McDonald's really been showing us something these past couple of games. Really been trying to stake a claim on that left field spot. Show why he should be out there on a consistent basis.
Yeah, that pitch wasn't too bad. You're right. I saw we have that other monitor up in the control room that has a slight delay. Pitch was a little up and out. Did catch much of the plate, but still a good piece of hitting to be able to pull that one into the left field alleyway. So Montreza, he has 2 hits as well, batting in the 9 spot. He's swinging first pitch on that. And that one will find turf there, and we'll see. Yeah, they're able to score the run with ease, and the ball trickles away. And Montreza alertly takes second base. So 2-out rally, favorite type of rally here. We've got to bring out the rally monkey to keep it going. I don't know if the Angels still do that with the little toy monkey, but
I think they do, actually.
yeah, it's one of their good little traditions they have there. So Tigers now leading 12-5, so they're back up by 7. They take back those 2 runs they gave up in the top of the inning. So no harm done, really.
Yeah, looking good. And, it's the old saying, every pitcher is dealing until he isn't, right?
Oh, yeah. Love those little one-liners. That's another thing about baseball that could rant and rave about for hours, just the little one-liners like that. But, there is validity to that statement. Once you kind of get to a guy, just keep it rolling. And Herrera will have to try to leg this one out. Doesn't appear he'll be able to. And it'll be the 3rd out of the 7th inning. So if the Tigers back up by 7, we'll be going to the 8th inning. But we can stay on in the air. I don't see why not.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'm really looking forward to what happens in this inning because Thacker showed a little bit of a, he had a little bit of shakiness in there. It looked like his plant foot was getting off wrong. And then he looked like he was able to clean it up. Had a quick conversation with the pitching coach as he walked into the dugout after that little outing. Would have loved to be a fly on the wall for that conversation just to know what they were talking about. I have to imagine it was about, hey, good on you for fixing that. Let's make sure we keep it tight. Go out there next inning. Let's prove that you can do this consistently. Because really what he's doing is he's trying to stake a claim for that sort of setup man, important fireman type role in this bullpen right ahead of Matthew Thomas. And it's been doing a good job of it so far. Obviously, this is not the most high leverage of situations, and neither was the game on Friday. But if you keep showing out in these sorts of situations, there's really no limit to what you can do moving your way up the pecking order.
Hey, even more credit to him if he's able to give them 2 innings out of the bullpen and save some other arms. And he is at 25 pitches. I mean, the thing about it is you're not going out every single day like you would be at the pro level where, you need to really be worried about a guy in the bullpen's pitch count or inning limit or whatever, but still something to be taking note of.
Yeah, and, you'll have a nice long rest until the next game. Won't pitch again until at least Friday. So, if today things go wrong for you or if today your arm is really hurting after your outing, ice it up. You'll be back good enough on Friday, get that full just about week to rest up. And so I imagine Thacker's going to be going here until he hits the ninth or until he runs out of steam.
Could be one and the same. That moment there, he might run out of steam at the end of this inning. So
Certainly could happen. I mean, wouldn't be outside of the range of possibilities, and we've seen it happen before. A guy looks like he's rolling right up until the end of that inning, and then he just manages to squeeze it out and get it to the next guy when you go on to the ninth.
yeah, he'll have to deal with Duffy, who is 1 for 3, but he has struck out twice. So maybe the potential here for Thacker to get him guessing, but he's fallen behind him 3-1. Duffy playing a pretty capable center field in this game. I've seen him do it defensively. And after him will be McKinley and then Miller. Wow, that one was crashing loudly, but it's a loud strike too. So Thacker on a full count here, and I'm interested to see if he goes with that hard breaking ball here and tries to get him to offer. I think he's just got to go with the heat and try to blow one by him up and in.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea attacking that right-hander in on the hands.
And he tries it there.
Believe it's going to result in an out as well.
Yeah, so perfect formula for first out of the inning.
Yeah, sometimes you're able to get that contact that, at first it seems like it's pretty hard, but it ends up not being in the meat of the bat. It ends up being a little closer towards the handle, and it just kind of pops up there and just hangs, and you're able to deal with it as an outfielder. And credit to that, running fastball up in the zone that was able to get that.
Yeah, when you get in on the hands there, it's just a really good formula for a pitcher's success.
Yeah, I mean, we always used to talk about, opposite side and opposite movement, but back in the day when Mariano Rivera was able to throw that cutter to lefties, it's that same type of movement that Thacker has to righties, right? It's that moving in on the hands motion. Obviously, you're gonna have a lot harder time breaking these metal bats, but you can at least get the fly out of it.
Yeah, Mariano probably cost the lumber company a few extra thousands of dollars there trying to.
I think he made the lumber company a few extra $1,000.
Oh yeah, I guess actually they needed new bats. I really had the opposite take on that, but no, you're right. I guess he cost the players their favorite bat, maybe sawing off some good lumber, and there is a 4-pitch walk. So both teams having some patience today. We've only seen one strikeout looking, but we have seen plenty of walks, and those will always be looking.
Yeah, Thacker got squeezed a little bit on that at bat.
Yeah,
a couple of those a little bit borderline, but you know what? That's how it goes, and especially when a team is being patient, you really have to be that much more locked in because the umpire is not just going to hand it to you on a silver platter.
Well, that 3-0, I was really surprised he didn't get the call. Usually you see the umpire give a little bit of slack there to allow the pitcher back into the count, but didn't get the call there.
Yeah, it can happen on occasion, but I think that Thacker is once again struggling with that plant foot the way that I'm seeing it.
Yeah, right there you could see it.
Yeah, he just is. It's the balance isn't quite right on it, and he's missing up.
He's like
flying
that's open a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what was happening towards the middle of the last inning as well. So needs to get back on top of it. Does a good job of it there.
Yeah, it's pretty clear to see when you really look for it there. You could see that he was balanced and moving through to the middle of the strike zone, really, where he followed through.
Yeah, and that's how he does things. And, for some pitchers, like Corey Cater, for example, they do step off towards that first base side, and they really do have their momentum going that way. And you just don't want it to be too much, but for them, it's a good thing. And for players like Thacker, it's really more about staying in line with the plate and being a little bit more balanced as you come through, and that's where his bread and butter is.
Yeah, he'll miss up and away on that one, though. They'll bring the count full. And Sam, I don't know, if he walks him here, I don't think you necessarily have to take him out, but he might be in for another mound visit potentially.
Yeah, it's certainly a possibility.
Oh, just
pitch,
missed the
though.
strikeout. Yeah, just got that foul tip there.
Yeah, he's right on the edge right now, just kind of teetering between good mechanics and bad mechanics, and I think that's sometimes what can happen as well. Just when you get fatigued, you end up reverting a little bit back towards what your old mechanics were, and you're trying to drag it back, and you just stay on that little borderline. So he's going to have to fight through this one. We'll see what the pitching staff does. They might bring in another guy after this at bat.
Yeah, and this has been a long at bat too. Miller's been able to really make him work for it. Or Millar, I apologize. He earlier in the game had a double play and struck out, so he's maybe looking to get some revenge on that. But he did reach on the error by McGann earlier, which I guess they just scored straight up as an error rather than a hit and then a throwing error. So unfortunately, Millar will not be able to leave with that one as a single in the scorebook.
Yeah, he gets the away scoring, but
right, you want that home scorekeeper to travel with you, but not the case here.
Yeah, that's another really good
quality
pitch.
at bat, because these are good pitches that he's spoiling away.
Yeah, and for Thacker as well, that pitch count's getting up there, and just that little extra bit of fatigue. And even if Millard is not able to get a hit, he's done a really good job just forcing some pitches to be wasted and that little bit of juice that's left in the arm to go away. And that one is hit pretty hard. It's right at a fielder, but
yeah, Chomet's right there. Didn't have to move much at all.
yeah, it did not have that signature movement on it from Arjun, so I would not be surprised if there's somebody warming up in the bullpen right now. The results are looking good, but I do think we're seeing a pitcher tire here in live action.
Yeah, well, only one more out needed here for Thacker to get out of the 8th inning. And you'd have to really feel amazing about your chances of winning this game and sweeping the series going into the 9th with at least a 7-run lead.
Yeah,
but that one's belted. Let's see.
I believe it's at a fielder again. It might go out, though.
Man, that is a bomb. As soon as I say you go to the 9th inning with the 7-run lead, Webster, who I guess came in to pinch hit because he hadn't had a previous at-bat, just takes him for a ride. And the way that ball was tagged, I mean, you wonder why this guy wasn't in the lineup to begin with, because he really got on that one.
Yeah, that was a big mistake as well from Thacker. Just a fastball straight down the middle.
Yeah,
and just not the movement on it that he had had previously in this inning or even at the start of the previous inning. So you can tell the fatigue is there. It's resulted in a couple of mistakes, and I would not be surprised if this is a visit to take the ball away.
Yeah, we saw the swing put on that ball there.
There it is.
Yeah, good call there, Sam. Need to get him out of there, even though he just needed that one more out, was unable to find it. But still a laudable effort there from Arjun Thacker.
Yeah, and credit to him. He ended up in a tough spot where clearly he was tiring and clearly things were very difficult for him. He was laboring out there, but he was fighting through it. And you're in that place where you just need one more out, and it could be that next pitch that you get the grounder on and the inning ends. That's a tough position to be in. And eventually you just make a mistake over the plate. You get tagged with a couple of more runs, and it on the stat sheet looks like it soils an inning and it soils an outing, but really credit to him. He did a good job with what he was given.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for the ERA, which as a pitcher you take pride in keeping under control, but he still was able to get out of that last inning with McGann giving him those few base runners, and we'll now get Matthew Thomas, and Thomas is going to come into a clean slate here. He only needs to get this third out in the 8th inning, and then I foresee him getting the 9th inning as well.
Oh, absolutely. No doubt in my mind.
Yeah, I can't imagine why they've just given him this third out and then not go to him in the 9th.
Yeah, he's your closer. He's coming in. This is either game over or it's bad news. So
yeah, right.
At least we can say that we can confirm that he's wearing an undershirt today. So
man, don't do him dirty like that, man. That did go viral though. I believe that photo of what was it? His shirt was open, I guess.
The button's down,
yeah, the
baby. The button down, Tiger fashion.
Man, that could have become a big trend on the team.
Hey,
could have gotten out of hand.
Goody's still on it. He's got the buttons undone.
Oh man,
undoes another one for every hit. So, it's still around. It's still hanging on, but
hanging on by a thread, man. They need to cut that off.
Yeah, literally hanging on by a thread. But
absolutely,
Thomas today, he's got the undershirt on. We're all under control.
If he has the undershirt on, that means he's really ready to go. I mean, we'll be seeing a good performance from him with the undershirts on. So he'll be facing the leadoff man, Bald, who is 2 for 4. He was actually the first out and only out of the game that Conti was able to pick up in starting this one. And frozen rope out into left field. And as a closer coming into a game where it's not a safe situation or even the ninth inning, kind of plays with your psyche a little bit. Not to say that's why he allowed the base hit, but just a weird position to come into a game.
Yeah, it can happen. And I mean, in college things are a little bit different. You end up in these places a little bit more where, you have to think of your job more as just getting outs, because if you're thinking of yourself as a true closer, you're going to end up in situations that are far outside the scope of that. Even saw a little bit of that last night. So
That is actually a pretty good point, is that you'll get a lot of scores that look similar to this and scenarios similar to these.
yeah, and that breaking ball has not looked sharp from him today in warm-ups for Matt Thomas, and it worries me a little bit because that can be his bread and butter when he's on. Fastball's looking okay, but command not quite there. You wonder if he had to kind of rush his prep as Thacker was getting tired out there, and just wasn't enough time quite to get ready.
Yeah, he'll walk him. Man, this game is getting a little dicey here. So you have two guys on. You have the third hole hitter, Brennan. He did homer yesterday. And, I mean, one swing of the bat, and I'm not in the business of doing so much projecting into the future, but, one swing of the bat here, and you have a two-run ball game.
Well, you have a two-run ball game with your closer on the mound, just having given up 3. So
yeah, having just given up a hit, a walk, and a home run. Yeah, it's like, who do you turn to from that point on, because a closer is the guy to turn to.
Yeah, like I said, this outing is going to go one of two ways. Either this is going to be game over, it's going to be bad news. So
maybe he should have left the undershirt in the closet today. Doesn't look like it's working out so well thus far, but good pitch there.
Yeah, that breaking ball looked good, and I hope that it's just a case of didn't get quite enough time to warm up in the bullpen and just needed extra pitches, and now he's on top of it. But it's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, there's strike 2. Good pitch there, getting Brennan to swing wildly at that. So Thomas working with an 0-2 count here. Probably a better scenario than he was in. The last hitter reaching on 4 pitches, and then the first guy getting a hit on the first pitch he saw.
Definitely tests your mental fortitude. And you've got to lock in here and give it a good pitch and just get out of here.
Oh, man, he hung that one a little bit too much over the plate. That one's carrying.
Pretty deep.
Oh, wow, that was a thundering out number 3 to end this 8th inning. And that one could have done some damage, but it didn't. So we've been talking a long time. Time for us to get a little bit of break here and give your ears a little bit of a break. And so we'll swing it to a break until the bottom of the 8th. Don't go anywhere. Well, if you stayed around this long with us, here we are in the bottom of the 8th inning. Tigers leading 12-7, just able to escape any more damage in the top half of the 8th as Matt Thomas induced a deep fly out to center field. And now Rafe Chomet looking to get on the stat sheet here, but we'll have to wait for whatever it is that's going on out there.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a view on it.
Yeah, not sure what they're talking about.
Looks like actually an injury. I think the left fielder may have just sprained a hammy. Yeah, you can see it there.
Yeah, it looks like we are getting a substitute, so right on the money as always.
Yeah, that's going to be Justin Bailey coming out to replace the 6'1" junior out of Grafton. Shout out to Grafton.
What, are you from there?
I don't actually know where it is, but shout out to Grafton.
Okay, well, yeah, start shouting out random towns. I mean, I'm sure there's some good people that live out there.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, I mean, I say beautiful. I don't know, but I assume
Yeah, maybe it's like a
beautiful
third
Grafton.
world country of
hey,
a city.
Hey,
but
hey. Let's keep it calm. But,
all right.
I'll say beautiful Grafton, Massachusetts. Yeah, shout out if you're from there.
Well, Rafe Chomet is up to bat right now against Brown. And Brown, as we mentioned, had been going along quite nicely. And Chomet, there's his first hit of the day. You knew it was bound to happen at some point. Can't keep him off the stat sheet for too long. And Chomet legging this one out. He should be able to get into third, and he does. So a triple for Rafe Chomet, providing some extra support for the Tigers. Gotta love that piece of hitting down the first baseline.
Yeah, and that was a Rafe Chomet special. Just that pulled, hard hit grounder that just gets past all the fielders and legging one out all the way to third base.
Yeah, great job there. And that pitch was a little bit low and in, but he was able to wait back on it long enough to just pull it there down the first base line. So the Tigers doing a little bit of damage last inning against Brown. I mean, he as we had said, he had been moving along pretty nicely until allowing those 2 runs in the 7th.
Yeah, and Chomet, good piece of hitting. You know what? I got a deep cut comparison for you. Rafe Chomet, you know who Lonnie Smith is?
Man, I can't say I do.
Yeah, way back in the day, this outfielder, really speedy, and that one's hit pretty
that was
well.
Hit well. Let me look this up.
Look up Lonnie Smith, and if you're at home, do the same thing if you don't know who I'm talking about. Lonnie Smith was this speedy outfielder, and every time he ran around the bases, it looked like his helmet was going to fall. It was so good.
How have you heard of this guy? I mean, he wasn't even playing in the 2000s, man. You weren't even born when this guy was playing his last few years.
I got some aces in the hole for you, but
interesting. Wow,
yeah,
this guy's an interesting story.
Yeah, Chomet scores. Lonnie Smith, interesting story. You should definitely look it up if you hadn't heard it before. But Rafe Chomet definitely reminds me of that. He's got that really great bat control. He's got the good eye at the plate, and he makes really solid contact, even if it is on a ground ball. As this one's going to be pulled at the third baseman by Goodrich, and that's going to be an easy out there for the second of the inning. But just reminds me, he's got that little bit about him.
There was a guy who I'm sure if you've heard of Lonnie Smith, you've probably heard of Willie Taveras when he was playing on the Astros.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
he used to tear it up, man. He was a speedster, and I don't know what became of his baseball career, but I do know that he was a fun player to watch back when he was producing.
Yeah, and Rafe, he's the type of guy, very often you're going to see him just trying to leg it out of the box. Not the huge home run hitter, but you get that little bit of extra excitement out of him, hitting it into the gap, trying to make it all the way to third, trying to get that double. And just something that I really appreciate in a baseball player every once in a while, even if it's maybe not technically the most statistically apt of players, but it's fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the guy that Lonnie Smith is to me, and that's the guy that Rafe Chomet is to me as well.
Well, old Lonnie just has a really interesting backstory, but anyway, we can leave that to you to look up on your own time at home, as Vonderhaar is retired for the final out of the 8th inning. So the Tigers get that 1 run back, lead 13-7. This one did become a slugfest, but only 1 home run out of all the runs that we've seen, and that came from the Endicott side in the top of the 8th. So we'll be back after a short break to bring you the 9th inning. Don't go anywhere. Well, we bring you to the ninth inning, and it has been a pleasure to watch the Trinity Tigers show out as we've been prone to seeing. 6-0 coming into this one. Looks like they're on their way to their 7th victory, but that one misses just up for Matt Thomas.
Yeah, very close miss for him, but I do think it was a matter of he just didn't quite get enough time to warm up and get the feel for that breaking ball because it is sharp right now. You can see it. It's got that really nice, that 1-7 break that he gets going on it, and it's just a beautiful pitch. So I'm glad to see that he has it back. It should be slightly easier sailing here, and that one's going to be fairly weakly hit to the first baseman in and out. But if he can keep that control up and if he can keep the tightness on the breaking ball saw, I think we're going to see a fairly quick inning here in the 9th.
Yeah, I think you will be able to get to maybe in time to get an omelet here if he's able to get these next 2 outs on some quick pitching. But you're right. I mean, he has that. When that breaking ball is on, you can just see that bite, and it's perfect to see it from this camera angle, from this vantage point. You really get to see that all the break and movement on it.
Yeah, and it's such a difference from the first inning where it was maybe getting like 5 inches of break on it, and it was just being left out to that high right side over and over again. And now you can see it coming in, and that is a good fastball that probably was a strike, but we'll call it a ball.
It's what the umpire calls as much as you want to play umpire from up here, unfortunately.
Well, I get to man in my high castle around here a little bit, but deference to the guy on the field, as always. But again, it just is that sharpness that you can see, and it's visually so stark when he has it and when he doesn't.
It's interesting you mentioned that break, the way it's breaking, because some guys throw more of that 12-6 break, but his kind of falls off a little bit.
Yeah, and some guys even have a little bit of a reverse going on that, it's not super visible from these cameras because you're on the right side shoulder, as that's going to be another walk. But some guys even have a little bit of like an 11-5 thing going on. And Matt Thomas, absolutely the opposite of that. Got that slider-ish movement coming in, cutting down. And for a right-handed hitter especially, I think it's very difficult to deal with. Maybe slightly easier on the lefties, but I wouldn't even say that.
Yeah, it's really hard. I mean, even when you make contact on a pitch like that, it's just really hard to make quality contact on it. And so we'll see if he's able to pick back where he left off here with Duffy coming in 1 for 4. Misses low and away. So Endicott not trying to leave San Antonio quietly here. They do need 6 runs here, but guys reaching base is how you do it.
Yeah, I mean, it all starts with 1, right? And if the fastball command continues to be just that little bit outside, you might be able to put yourself like we are right now in those 2-1 counts, those counts where you're slightly ahead. Maybe you can go hunting for your pitch.
And now he has the 3-1 count to work with here, and if he's able to get on here, then things become a little bit murkier than you'd like if you're the Tigers. Not to say every inning has to be a 1-2-3 inning, but
no, absolutely not. But you get to a place where you can sit fastball and swing and miss on it, I suppose. But at least you got to that position where you were able to look for that fastball as you should have been doing. And now you're in a 3-2 count, a little bit more difficult, but still on that knife edge where maybe you're able to get something good to hit here.
He does not. He will draw the walk. I'm surprised, honestly, that the initial runner, the guy that was on first, Perkins, didn't just take second on an indifference to avoid the double play to end the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough call to make because you don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, right.
Right. But, and actually, we're
Thomas is done.
Thomas out, so that's a bit of a surprise from the coaching staff, and I think perhaps just more a show of like unhappiness than anything that you sometimes get from the coaching staff. So, like we said, it was either going to be game over or bad news, and we've gotten a little bit of bad news here. Only 1 out and 2 men on.
Yeah, I don't know if I really mind the decision because we saw some good pitches from Thomas, but by and large didn't look like he had his A game today. He got out of that last inning in the 8th without allowing any runs, but he did put 2 guys on base and just narrowly avoided a 3-run homer from the third out of the inning. And so we'll get, appears to be Joel Thomas coming into the game.
Yeah, you'll get Joel coming in. Joel's another guy who been here. He's a solid guy. You kind of know what you're going to get from him day on day, I feel like. But again, he's not your closer, so you never know. It could be a situation where, again, right now it's a very safe lead, right? You got 6 runs.
Yeah, you'll trade an out for a run here in this situation.
Oh, absolutely.
Not that it's a sack fly territory, but, if you get to that point.
Yeah, but at the same time, it all starts with 1. So you do have to be a little bit careful here, and it is a much tighter situation than it was when Matt Thomas was in the game and looking like he was in control when he hit that first batter with a really great curveball slider.
Yeah, and he got the first out here in the 9th relatively easily, which made me think that, okay, we had talked about he would probably get us out of here by 2 o'clock or, at the latest 2:05, but
It keeps my paycheck taken over, so.
Yeah, right. When they start doing things hourly over here is when you start loving these pitching changes. But, you don't want to eat at the dining hall forever. You want to go and get some Chipotle money every now and again.
Hey, I understand. But let's see what Thomas has. I feel like I know what I'm going to get from him. He's got that nice fastball. He's got the pretty decent breaking ball. Neither of it's going to blow you away too much, but it's pretty nice. So command issues are going to be there. It's just going to kind of be on that, if he gets him in enough pitches, it's going to be an out. If not, we may be looking at something else. So I think that's what you're going to get here from Thomas. And that is, I believe, going to be dealt with.
Oh, no,
it's
that
gonna
finds
drop
grass
right
there.
in front.
And I don't believe that was McKinney, excuse me. It was Caleb Spur, number 7, who was the first-year pinch hitting.
Yeah, a little bit of pinch hit action. We actually saw him in the Friday game as well, and he looked really good out of that pinch hitter role. Looked like he was giving the Coach Haley a little something to think about, and turns to him in, not the biggest spot, obviously, but turns to him here in this game with a chance to maybe make things a little bit more respectable at the very least, or at
bases
most,
are loaded now.
Yeah, or at most, start looking for something. So
chance here for Millar, and Millar really wants this one here. He has a double play. He has a strikeout reached on the throwing error from McGann, which seems like forever ago at this point.
Yeah, and then he had that fairly solid contact, but like you said, not able to get anything going today.
Yeah, he hit that one right at Chamet last time. But here he is with a 2-0 count, sitting pretty here with the bases loaded. All the ducks are on the pond. And so Joel Thomas, this is where you definitely would take that sac fly. That really would totally change the complexion of the game.
Yeah, certainly. But, you got to be sitting fastball here. And the way that Thomas has been pitching, like we said, we know that the control is going to be an issue. So you're just going to be sitting there and waiting for it. If he gives you something in the zone, it's going to be fairly hittable if it's that fastball. So you've got to be sitting on that.
Not swinging here, and he draws the walk. So a 4-pitch walk with the bases loaded, and this lead has been trimmed now. Now if a new pitcher comes in, not that there would be a pitching change, it would be a safe situation because the tying run would be on deck.
Yep, absolutely. So
we are in a pretty legitimate situation now. It started with the leadoff guy in the inning getting out, and
certainly a lot tighter, isn't it, Saul?
It is. At this point, one guy reaches okay, 2 guys reach all right, and then you see the next hit, and then this other walk. There have been 3 walks in the inning, and 12 in the game. These guys are getting some decent hits, but they only have 8 of them, and they have 8 runs. So,
yeah, it's not been the cleanest game that we've seen from either team, but they're trying to work through it. I'm not loving what I'm seeing from Thomas so far.
Ooh, that one squirts through. I couldn't tell if that was a hit or an error. It got through the legs there of Wisniewski over there at third. And so Webster, he's become the focal point of this game, just about, hitting that home run off of Arjun Thacker and now driving home 2 runs here. And so Game is 13-10 now.
Yeah, he's come up big in some very important spots for them. And Thomas, again, like I mentioned, it's all about whether the control is there for him, and hasn't been. We knew it would be an issue going in, but when you have that fastball and he misses with it, that's when it's really difficult. And he has to bring it a little lower in the zone. It can be hittable, and it's happened twice now.
Yeah, he's really just losing command, and as you mentioned, when he's missing low, these guys are able to just drive it out in the outfield. And I never played baseball too long personally, but I do remember pitching coaches saying, miss low rather than miss up. But that's not always the best scenario. You just don't want to miss it all.
Yeah, that's certainly true. This one is dangerous, and that is...
That was caught, wasn't it?
That's caught, but...
That was close. I mean, it looked
game.
like it almost hit the fence. Wow, that big booming. Out number 2 then.
Yeah, that very nearly was tie game.
Yeah, that was...
So...
Wait, yeah. So we had 2 guys on. It was
2 guys on
13-10.
would have been a home run. That would have been 13 all.
I totally just blanked on the magnitude of what was going on with that swing there. I mean, that almost tied this game.
That was big, and I think we may actually have an injury as well from our left fielder, McDonald, when he jumped up against the wall to catch that one. I think we're going to get a substitution.
Good play, though.
Yeah, great play, sacrifice your body, but I think he got up against the wall there and maybe just
that was
a
just
little bit of a shoulder injury.
Yeah, you have to hope he's okay on that, but can you imagine just a few feet
this
short
is how
of a
close
tie
it
game?
is.
That if he just ate a little bit more Wheaties this morning, Bailey would have tied this ball game.
Yeah, it would not have been good. And
So-
then I think it was either on the jump up into the wall or it was on the throw afterwards, but McDonald definitely hurt that throwing arm of his. Hope he's okay, but
Yeah, good play. And Bailey gets the RBI on that, so it'll be the Gulls' 4th run of the 9th inning. There are 2 away, but the score is just an interesting 13-11. Not a score you see in every baseball game.
no, certainly not. And this one it's certainly looking shaky, and
Yeah, it's still not over.
no, not by any stretch of the imagination. You got a man on first. You got a pitcher who's struggling to hit his spots. All it takes is one swing of the bat, Saul.
Yeah, the guy on deck, too. Oh, man, the guy on deck is someone who homered
Slicing
yesterday.
out.
But
I think that should be dealt with.
yeah, that'll be the game. So Tigers do hang on to win and sweep the series. I mean, Sam, we got a little more than we bargained for here in the 9th. This game taking just about exactly 3 hours.
Yeah, it's definitely been a drag. So I liked what I saw from several of the Tigers out there today. I think the lineup really did their job. Obviously, 13 runs. If you're giving your team 13 runs, you should be in a win every single day of the week. It's not the best one from the pitching side of things, and as we mentioned, really right at the start of this home stretch, that's if there is a question mark, that's where the question mark is. You can see it up on your screen right now. 11 runs, 8 hits, 2 errors, and they left 9 on base, so there was a potential for a lot more. So I certainly think that the pitching staff has to get settled. Thacker, I thought, had a decent outing. It wasn't his best, but, he was tired at the end of it. Thomas didn't have a great day. McGann really
looked good.
saved the game
really
for
good.
him. McGann looked good. He was really the key for them tonight, and I just think that when Trinity figures out who their guys are and when they're on consistently, they're going to be a very, very tough team to beat. Until that point, we're going to have games like this where it's just going to be hanging on that knife's edge. We had a guy on base and a guy at the plate. That's all you needed for a tie game here. It was that close.
And within feet on that last fly ball, just a few batters.
Oh, they had
go.
2 chances at it. So,
yeah,
difficult game. I think that there's a lot to take away from this one. I think Coach Scannell is going to be looking at the film of this one, and he's going to have a long chat with his coaching staff about who are the guys that we can trust on this pitching staff. They're going to have to get themselves sorted out, but overall, a win is a win. You take being undefeated on the season still, 7-0. That's where you want to be.
Yeah, great game. Well, thanks so much, Sam, for joining me here on this broadcast. It's really been a pleasure hearing all of your insight and takes on what's been going on in the game. And so on that note, next action for the Tigers is February 28th at 7 p.m. That's Friday against Babson, and so should have someone up here to bring that one to you.
I'll be back with you.
So Sam's the man for the job, and he'll join you then. Until then, Saul Malik alongside Sam McWhorter. Have a good afternoon.